Hey, what's good everyone? Welcome back to another tier list video, and today I'm going to be ranking all of the train operating companies from best to worst. Quick note, I'll only be ranking the franchises and open access operators. There are no, say, TfL contracts or any other contracts involved in today's video. Another note is that I'm not going to be, I will be splitting West Midlands trains into West Midlands Railway and London NorthWestern Railway, and I will also be splitting Go via Thameslink Railway into Thameslink, Southern, Great Northern, and Gatwick Express, because that itself almost has the entire range of the tier list. So I will go to the random number generator to pick a random operator. So I'm picking the very, very last one, Thameslink. Great start. I'll be putting it into the D tier. So all I'm going to say is acquiring a route map for Thameslink is found to be pretty much impossible. It just isn't one online without grouping all the other Go via Thameslink railway companies together. So I won't be showing you that today. I will say some notes about the trains though. They only have one type of train, which is the British Rail Siemens Desiro City Class 700 dual voltage electric multiple unit. Some in 8 coaches, some in 12. Some have tray tables, airline style seats in standard, some don't. And all of them have first class in the driving coaches, in front 2/3 of each driving coach, with 2+2 mainline seats, with I think there's armrests and forward fixed tables, and probably tray tables at airline style seats. The trains themselves are okay. They do have toilets, but they don't really have any catering or stuff. And the seats have been very notorious for being called ironing board seats, but I do think there are far worse seats, mainly Southeastern's Class 376s I'm looking at. But yeah, Thameslink operates 2 journeys from north of St Pancras International, mainly to, I think, Bedford and Heathrow only, and south they head to a number of destinations, such as a loop via Sutton, out to Rainham, out to Sevenoaks and Orpington, Bedford and Horsham, and I've also East Grinstead at peak times as well. So yeah, I think that's roughly about it for Thameslink. Yeah, I'll spin the number generator again. Out 25 this time, because there's only 25 operators. Number 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Which will be London Northeastern Railway. Scoring into the S Plus tier. So yeah, all I'm going to say is that LNER is probably one of my favourite train operating companies, simply because they are so user friendly and provide so much information as to the services they actually provide. As you can see by the number of things I'm going to show you. The first thing I'm going to show you are just the seating maps, of their trains. If a mouthful. You can just pause at any part of the video that you see fit. What I find interesting is they actually provide dedicated seating maps for both their for their 5 and 10 coach trains and their 9 coach trains, which is rather interesting. I would also like to say that they seem to have quite a lot of wheelchair spaces, even in first class as well, which is something I admire a lot. Yeah, so in all of their trains, the standard class is roughly the same. You've got 2+2 mainline seats with tables at every seat, which are tray tables, airline style seats, and a base of 4 there, full width fixed tables. The seats are reasonably comfortable as well. From what I've heard online, I've not actually been on these trains. But yeah, first class on the Azumas, or the 800s and 801s, they're reclining 2+1 with leather headrests, I think. You've got armrests, you've got all seats with charging ports. How many depends on the class. I think it's 1 3-pin per 2 in standard, and like 1 3-pin and 1 USB per seat in first class. Every first class seat has a forward fixed table, even airline style seats, which I find is quite interesting. They've also seemed to have a lot of toilets and bicycle spaces, but the notable thing about LNER Azuma set is they have got a parfait car. As you can see here, it's the middle of 5 on their 5 coach trains, and the fourth from front heading out of London on their 9-coach train. So it really is something to be proud of. There is a reason why I love LNER a lot. And they also have some, what says on their website, to be Mark 4 coach layouts, which is right, but they are officially Intercity 225 sets with Class 91 electric locomotive on the front and Mark 4 DVT on the end. As seen here, this is a DVT end with the bicycle storage. We've got a fair provision of first class and standard class as well. So this is all first class, by the way. You've got your full cafe bar. You've got lots of seating as well. I'd say pretty good provision, to be honest. Yeah, I do love these older trains as well, particularly the first class, which features full leather seats, really good recline, and lots of other good features. So that's that done. I'll quickly go through, say, the first class lounges will probably be a good place to start. So this is one of the only operators to have first class lounges. This is all on their website, which you can see here. Yeah, lots of stuff. There's actually quite a lot, more than what I would say expect, especially from someone who resides in an area with no first class lounges or first class service. As a matter of fact, I do find it quite nice as well. You get lots of amenities and stuff. They are fully furnished. You've got like all sorts of seats, like booth and bar style, and got really nice toilet facilities as well, very well maintained. And then you've got your food options as well, which probably has one of the best standard class menus in my opinion. You've got like a really good hot food option. You've got cold food as well. You've got nice little snacks. You've got drinks, and I think there's like meal deals. Yes, there's bakery deals, meal deals. This LNER is truly like one of the best operators in this regard. Partly why it scores so highly. And then the first class menu is especially notable. You've got 4 different menus, so you've got nice little brunch, you've got some nice deli and dish, and the dine menu is particularly notable. As it says there, it is chef cooked meals. They are really good. They also have, I think if I can find it, they might have a first class menu timetable. Yes. So if we click here and here, the 2 examples, you've got the outbound Monday to Friday. I think Saturday and Sunday menus are mainly just dish and deli, nothing else. But it's the weekday menus that are particularly notable. You do have some dine and brunch options as well. Yeah, it's mostly populated by dish and deli, but you do have your dine and brunch options on your Monday to Friday trains as well. Same thing with the return, I think. Yes. So they are really, really good. Definitely worth checking out. I do think they probably one of the best operators for catering in both classes. And this is their route network or route map. So yeah, generally they've got one hub, which is London King's Cross, but as you can see here, a few trains head from, I think it's like Leeds or Harrogate. One of their trains starts and heads to Aberdeen, but pretty much their trains start at London King's Cross and stop at limited stations to Lincoln, Hull, Bradford, Forster Square, Skipton, Harrogate, Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Glasgow Central, Aberdeen, and Inverness. But most trains, as you can see in the bold, they head to between London King's Cross and Leeds, York, Newcastle, and Edinburgh Waverley. So they are really, really good with service as well. They have reasonable service frequencies. Again, really nice trains. They certainly do deliver with both mainline and intercity service. Yeah, they do really, really well on terms of pricing as well. Something I forgot to mention, I'm not going to rank down or give a train operating company a lower rank because of poor reliability, because there are many factors that are outside of their control, and also it's just kind of ridiculous. But I will bring up price, something of which LNER does extremely well. Extremely well. It's really, really good. There are budget operators on this route, which I'll get to in a moment, and particularly with families, they do price out better. They are better for families. There are family discounts, not just the normal 2 and 2, but say, or 2 adults, 2 children, but like say 2 adults, 3 children, and other variations, they are really good with that too. And I will say, I'm not going to mark down for poor reliability. I will mark up for good reliability, and LNER is decent. It is pretty decent, I will say. I will give them that. And yeah, that's pretty much all for LNER. So yeah, very, very high scoring on the tier list. I really do love them. One of my favourite operators, so that's why it scores so highly. Next up, we'll use the random number generator again. The 6th one, which is Great Western Railway, which falls into an F tier. And yeah, I'll get to that in a moment. So GWR as a intercity operator, but it's actually mixed. It's not only intercity, but it does have plenty of intercity services. So it does run it does run all sorts of suburban duties, so inner, outer, and middle. It also has regional trains as well, and they've got regional intercity and also mainline and intercity journeys as well, which does give them a little bit of a bump. But there are a few reasons why it is quite low. One of the reasons being it probably has the worst rolling stock in the UK, which I'll get to in a moment. Not to worry about for now. But the food and drink menu in standard class is pretty average for an city operator. I will say is just drinks, some alcohol, not too much hot or cold food though. It's just snacks, which is I'd say is a bit disappointing for the longest top line expresses, such as those between London and Swansea and Penzance. They also don't operate catering on many regional journeys as well, which doesn't help. And also out of suburban, they don't do that. So it literally is just some mainline and some intercity journeys, and when they do, it isn't the best for trains operating such long distances as they do. They have a few first class lounges. The ones they do have are actually pretty good. Particularly, I'm looking at London Paddington has probably some of the best lounge facilities in my opinion. But say Truro, Penzance, Cardiff, I've not really looked into those too much. I'll probably I'll not really have an opinion on these. It says opening hours. It's rather interesting. It's nice, convenient right here on the website. But it's not the best. There's only like 4 lounges across their entire network, and as you saw, LNER had like about 12 roughly. The LNER had way more, and that's not even like the start of the problems, to be honest, or the end of them, as I should say. They only offer just this: tea, coffee, juices, biscuits, crisps, and like pretty much all the services. They do have catering, which is incredibly disappointing. Again, first class. And as you saw, actually, I might want to go over the LNER. I might edit in the catering options for LNER because they truly were so good and so extensive. But this is just it. Pullman Dining operates on like 4 trains a day, and it is, I will be honest, really good. Yes, but this is like true, like intercity dining in my opinion. I'll quickly head over here. Very conveniently, they've got all their trains in one document, which is a positive thing. These are as you saw my trains tier list, the worst train, not one of the worst, but the worst train in the one of the worst train in the United Kingdom. I should get the LNER 800 moved up many tiers, but the Great Western Railway and City Express trains are the worst. Unlike LNER, the interior furnishings are falling apart. They're incredibly unreliable. There's been like issues with their bogies in 2021, and then like aircon leakages and lots of other very serious problems. There were also some core designs, such as the pocket doors, are not suited to intercity trains. They're not flush with the body side, as you can see in the illustration here. So they're not aerodynamic. least in that regard. It is a bit of wasted potential. And also they're a huge step down from the Intercity 125 sets it used to operate before them, which were just incredibly reliable workhorses, many decades old, but many decades of experience, I'd say. They were incredibly comfortable, some of the best trains in the UK. Actually, the best trains in the UK, and dropping all the way to the worst trains does say something. I mean, it's not like just because it was the best train and it gives a very high standard. I do say some of LNER's IETs are really good. They were a bit of a step down from the HSTs, but that was mainly to do with their first class. But they did actually make efforts to make it still a really good train by all means. But yes, as you can see, it's just a carbon copy of the LNER IETs, except the seats are just really bad. They're falling apart, and also much worse reliability and other comfort as well, or lack thereof, I should say. These are the same, just rubbish. Also less first class as well, which doesn't help. But the class 387s, which are just a bit pointless in some regards. You might be able to see here potentially the classified first class, which already seen from the seating plan is just the same as standard. They've got tables at every seat, no first class, no catering. Yeah, they look older than older trains of their train family. So they are the Electrostar family, and I think made, yes, as it says here, 2015, 2016. But the units from the late 90s actually, so I think the oldest are like 98 or 99, or dipping into the early noughties actually, with the 375, the 377, not the /6 or /7. Those actually look a lot newer because of their rectangular ribbon windows. But yeah, they don't have them. They are definitely better than the IET sets, but not necessarily good. They're better. They could actually be good, but not as good as they could be, I would say. And then you've got the 165 and 166s. So the 165s are all standard with, I think it's no tables whatsoever, and also 3+2. And then you've got the 166s, which are a bit interesting, really. Which they say is standard class only and not numbered. But as you can see here, there are some. It is a bit interesting. There's no numbering in coach C. You do have some nicer first seats here. Used to be first class, but not. The rest is just reserve seating, and then you've got the actual first class, which is definitely nice. I'll try and look to see if they actually have it. Yes, I think it's Cardiff Central to Portsmouth Harbour is the real problem here. Yeah, their operating journey is about 4 hours long with no tables or first class or anything, and there's no catering as well, which is not particularly good. Yeah, that's partly why they rank quite low. The class 158, on the other hand, are actually quite good. There we go. You've got well, tables at every seat. You've got lots of toilets as well. No first class or catering, but still really good. I do like them, if I'm being honest. But yeah. Oh, there's another 3-car variant, which is rather interesting. Doesn't mind me. You got the 150s, which could be quite bad with no tables here, or really good with plenty of tables. Yeah. You also got 769s. I'm not even sure if they're still used or not. No, here you've got the 3-2 in standard and the 2-1 in first, but I'll move on from there. Got some smaller numbers of HSTs in use, very small. Not many like fixed tables, but you've got lots of tables in general. You've got some toilets as well. I would say these are probably the best trains that they have. the 230s, which have got some tables. They are fair enough. And then you've got the overnight Riviera sleeper trains, which do have some really good catering. Lots, a bit like the Caledonian Sleeper, except it is subtracting out the bedrooms with toilets provided with them, but they do provide a really good service overall. And yeah, they do bring GWR up a bit. You can see here you've got the full seating plan, so you've got standard class with tables at every seat. And then you've got the bar here, so you've got like your bar seats, you've got your, I think there might be some booth seats and some interesting seats to be honest. You've got a sofa. And then you've got your sleeper berths as well. There are no sleeper berths with toilets in them, I am right. And there's a lot more. I'll probably look through that all, if I'm being honest, and see if there's anything of note. Apart from this, the answer was no. It's just all the stations. Now, as you can see here, this is actually a really good route map, if I'm being honest. You got it says mainline routes and branch routes and seasonal routes. So, Great Western Railway operates services between have branch services, so in the suburban, such as West Ealing to Greenford, middle suburban, such as Windsor and Eastern Central to Slough, main head to Marlow via Board End, Twyford to Henley-on-Thames as well. Got some other more suburban routes, so Basingstoke is one of the destinations, so they do operate trains, not necessarily from, but the main terminus is London Paddington, with routes to Greenford via West Ealing, Windsor and Eastern Central via Slough, Marlow via Maidenhead and Bourne End, Henley-on-Thames via Twyford, and then you've got Banbury via Oxford, and also it can either skip Didcot Parkway or go through. They also operate further down to Worcester Foregate Street in Great Malvern with a few trains heading to Hereford. You also got the trains to Gloucester and onwards to Worcester Foregate Street in Great Malvern, with Cheltenham Spa being quite notable. And then trains head onwards to Cardiff Central, Swansea, a few daily trains head to Carmarthen, and then a few to Pembroke Dock. I think that's like a daily Saturday service in summer to Pembroke Dock. And yeah, that's all for the north side. Down for the south side, you've got continuation to Windsor and Eastern Central via Slough, Basingstoke via Reading, and then you've got it starts to get a bit interesting. So you've got your mainline route, which heads all the way down through Newbury, Westbury, Castle-Carey, Taunton, Exeter, St David's, Plymouth, St Austell, and Penzance. That's all the way down. In the far southwest region, you've got branches from St Erth to St Ives, and also Truro to Falmouth Docks, Parr to Newquay. I think it's actually Liskeard to Coombe Junction Hall and Loo. You've got I think it's Plymouth to Gunnslock. You've got Newton Abbot to Paignton. Paignton being one of the only ones to have a a few trains per day to and from London Paddington, with I think Falmouth Dock and Newquay having daily trains in the summer. Also got Exeter St David's to Oakhampton and Barnstaple. Also got Exeter Central, which terminates some trains. These head off to Axminster and Exmouth. And then some trains from Paddington, they head via Chippenham and Bath Spa through Bristol Temple Meads, some through Weston-super-Mare and head down to Taunton that way. There are also regional trains from regional termini such as Bristol Temple Meads, Cardiff Central, Penzance, and Portsmouth Harbour. These head via Eastleigh and Southampton Central, down the I think it's the Wessex Main Line, through Westbury. They can head to Bath Spa and onwards to Bristol and Severn Beach. They can head up to Chippenham and Swindon that way. There's some trains between Reading and Taunton stop at Westbury and Frome as well. It's not Frome, it is Frome, so they do stop at the most mispronounced place in the UK. And I think that is, oh yeah, there's also Bristol Parkway to Gloucester as well. There's that. But other than that, oh yeah, another one. Castlecarry to Weymouth. Other than that, I think pretty much it. Oh yes, keep spotting them all over the place. So you've got Reading to Gatwick Airport and Redhill. But yeah, looking through, there's nothing else. That is pretty much all of Great Western Railway's network. So yeah, as an intercity operator, they can be a bit disappointing, but some of their regional routes are actually pretty decent, particularly the 158 and the 150s, I think. No, the 152s, or some of them anyway. But yeah, I'll head to my number generator. Number 20. So you got 14, I think, and then 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. East Midlands Railway is a bit of an interesting one. It's going to go into the S tier now. Yeah, East Midlands Railway has got, not once again, it's one of the operators with 3 different types of routes, but it is truncated a bit by Thameslink operating suburban trains. Much like how Great Western is with the Elizabeth line and LNER is with Great Northern and Thameslink. But yes, East Midlands Railway operates outer suburban. I'll get to their full route map in a moment. So East Midlands Railway offers first class on their intercity trains, as it says here. And first class offers 2+1 reclining leather seats with the leather headrests, which are adjustable. You've got leather armrests as well. 4-width fixed tables at every seat. The standard class offers 2+2 seats with tables at every seat and armrests. The tables of which are tray tables at airline style seats and 4-width fixed tables at the bays of 4. So they do offer a pretty good hard product. Also curtains in first class as well, I thought I'd mention. So they are pretty good trains. Yeah. And as it says here, you've got complimentary first class catering. So you've got like hot and cold breakfast food, and you've got just sandwiches and snacks as well, which for journeys which are a fair bit shorter, I'd say probably no more than 3 to 4 hours at most, pretty reasonable, other than say dinner on some later trains, which could probably be a bit better, probably in line with LNER as an example, but they are generally doing pretty good, if I'm being honest. Standard class, I think there's just not much else to say, because I've already described it. And then you've got the standard class catering, which is yeah, pretty reasonable, I'd like to say. So as you can see here, I've moved to the seating plan, which is actually of the previous operator and from over 12 years ago, as you can see by the URL of the site. But yeah, I do think they are still quite accurate because the trains haven't been modified since, other than say interior branding. So as you can see, you've got, I think it's roughly 1 toilet per coach, I think. You've got a universal toilet for each of the accessible seats, which is 1 per class. So for the 4-car units, which I'm not so sure if they're even still in service, they've been the composition of units has been modified since then, but not necessarily the interiors. So as you can see, you've got standard class using the all of the first 2 coaches, and the majority of the third coach, you've got a tiny first class bit and then a little bit more first class. Got a buffet car and a separate kitchen area. 5-car units just have more standard in the first 3, and probably a majority of first class in the 4th coach, and then just all first in the 5th. The 7 coaches is probably a bit more interesting, though. You've got 4 coaches of standard class, which is pretty good, and then the 3 coaches at the end are just first class. So these are probably better for top line expresses, in my opinion. Yeah, pretty good. I'll say East Midlands Railway, as a result of that, is quite a decent train operating company, and for that reason it falls quite highly into the S tier. Next up, we go for the next number down, 22. We're going to put the second train operating company, C2C, quite low into the K tier. Everyone, post editing note, just forgot to talk about the East Midlands Railways route network. So yeah, as you can see, they have like nicely categorized it. So you do have your you've got your outer suburban trains between London, St Pancras International and Corby, which operate with different trains, which I'll get up in a moment. So yeah, quick note on this: you've got your outer suburban, as I just said, using 3+2 seats with no tables at all. A bit disappointing. You've also got a few in-city services that head on to Melton Mowbray, however you pronounce that, I'm not sure. And then you've got your 2 different top line expresses, which head via Leicester to Nottingham with a few trains to Lincoln, or they head onwards to Sheffield. And then you've got your regional trains, which are scattered all over the place, a few daily trains between Peterborough and East Midlands Parkway. Not really sure about any other limited services. Oh, so you've got trains between Peterborough and Lincoln. You've also got Skegness and Norwich via Nottingham and Sheffield up to Liverpool Lime Street. You've also got Barton on Humber, Doncaster, Matlock and Crewe, which all head to Cleethorpes, or however you pronounce that. Again, I'm not sure. You've got Worksop to Nottingham, and that is pretty much it. So apologies for that. I'll go back to talking about I'll be talking about C2C now. So I'd just like to say now rather than later that with C2C there's not really much to say. One of the few things that there is to say is that they have no first class and no catering at all. They've barely got any accessible facilities as well. When I say barely, this is actually the accessible travel information. So they're doing pretty good, to be honest, for accessible travel, but you only have, I think, like 2 wheelchair spaces and 1 toilet in each 4 or 5 car unit. And speaking about their trains, again, not much to say. Again, no first class, no catering. They also don't have tables. They have either 2+2 metro or 3+2 metro seats with no tables whatsoever. I don't think they're charging either. And considering these trains are about 23 years old, I would say it is quite disappointing, especially for the longest journeys up to Shoebury-Ness, which are pushing 2 hours in length and would be considered mainline service by all respects. But in my opinion, I think other than metro trains, pretty much all train services should have some form of tables on their seats. This is partly why I think C2C ranks so low. Their route map is also quite simple as well. So there's pretty much free route between London Fenchurch Street and Shoebury-Ness. You've got the main line through Basildon. You've got a secondary route which runs via Purfleet, Grays, and Tilbury. Although in practice, and then thirdly, you've got the route which branches between Upminster and Grays via Trafford 100. But most trains in reality don't run. The trains between Fenchurch Street and Southend Central don't run via Rainham and Purfleet. They run via Trafford 100, which is interesting because that route is actually the single track route in this context. There's also a few trains that go from Fenchurch Street via Stratford, and also some trains that start in Liverpool Street. So almost all trains actually stop at all stations. There's a few peak time trains that don't. Yeah, as you can see, it is quite simple. We've got lots of information for like limited step free access. I think here, here, the other stations are fine. That's a bit interesting by arrangement. We've got like all the other stations as well. But yeah, that is actually pretty much it. So that's probably the shortest one so far. C2C. Not really a huge fan of C2C, if I'm being honest. Yeah, partly why it's so low. But with that, I'm going to pick the next number, 20. That's the second last one, Great Northern, another low scorer. It is going to go into the F tier. So Great Northern is another operator with not much to say. They don't have catering on any of their services, and also they have some of the worst rolling stock as well, the Class 717. The 387s are low scoring as well, but not as bad. But they do have inverted commas first class on their 387s, which is exactly the same as standard class. So their standard class on the 717 has got no tables, just incredibly uncomfortable ironing board seats throughout. I hate the 717. They've got nothing good going for them at all. I hate them. And as for the 387s, they've got ironing board seats, but they do have tables at every seat. So tray tables at airline style seats and fixed tables at Ace, which is nice. Yeah, I think Great Northern it's a bit better than C2C. Their route map is a bit more interesting. You've basically got I think it's Moorgate to Stevenage via Hertford East, I think. And then you've also got the routes between London King's Cross and Peterborough, the peak times only, or alternatively up to King's Lynn via Ely and Cambridge. So I'm actually at Hitchin. Also, that heads via Welwyn Garden City instead of Hertford East, I think. So yeah, another operator, not much to say. We'll head to the random number generator. 2. So Southern, which is going to go into the S plus tier in all respects. So here we are with the Southern route map, which is a third-party map, by the way. It's not Southern's actual map, because the route map provided is just a general one for Go via Thameslink Railway, which is a bit rubbish. Now, I would like to say the first class situation is a semi-similar. Well, on the 377/6 and /7, it is exactly the same as Great Northern. Actually, pretty much the same seats and same furnishing throughout. As for the 377/1 through to 5, varying degrees of them. I think the /1 it is the same again, but the seats are not ironing boards. They're quite comfortable. You've got more trailing ports, but it's roughly the same. So you've got just 2+2 mainline with tables every seat. Same on business with the sorts of tables and stuff, and then varying subclasses between /2 and /5. The middle coaches or the trailer coaches may have high density 3+2 with tray tables at airline style seats and fixed tables that width per seat at bays of 4 and 6. With I think yeah, that's pretty much what they have. With some other subclasses also having that 3-2 layout in the center of the driving coaches as well. So it's only the bogey ends of the driving coaches that have the 2-2 seats. Now, Southern probably has the most diverse route map we've seen so far. They operate all suburban types. They have regional. They don't have regional intercity. I'm not sure if they even operate intercity routes. Probably not. But they have. What they do have is mainline services. So other than intercity routes, they operate the full range of journeys. If we ignore these limited service routes, which they don't operate anymore, so the ones to Eastleigh, Guildford, Wimbledon, and these links between, say, Mitcham and Streatham, not Streatham. Oh yeah, it's Stratford, not Stratford. Between Mitcham, Eastfields, and Streatham, Tulse Hill to Streatham Hill, through Wimbledon and through Guildford and to Eastleigh. Apart from those, this is a very accurate map. Also deleting the bit beyond Hampstead on the West Coast main line. So pretty much, Southern's got a very, very long route map. Also quite complicated as well, but I can break it down for you guys because I'm kind. I do say so myself. So Southern's inner suburban route network consists of loop trains between, well, London. I'm not sure if they actually have loop trains. They may have loop trains, but pretty much they have service from London Bridge to Beckenham Junction via Crystal Palace and Tulse Hill. You've also got London Bridge to London Victoria via Clapham Junction, Crystal Palace, and New Cross Gate. So you've got that. They also have Watford Junction, Hemel Hempstead, and Watford Junction via Clapham Junction to East Croydon as well. That's another thing they operate. I think that's. Oh yeah, I think they have London Bridge to Epsom via West Croydon. I think, and West Croydon and Tulse Hill. I think they operate that. Yes. So it's basically running along this route pretty much, and then that's pretty much all the inner suburban from London Bridge. From London Victoria, they have inner suburban routes. I think they don't have any other inner suburban route from there, but they have middle suburban, which includes London Bridge to the Cat and Tap lines. So London Bridge to Tattenham Corner and Caterham, detaching at Purley, which is rather interesting. And then I think that's pretty much it for London Bridge middle suburban. And then from London Victoria, they operate London Victoria to Epsom Downs. I think it's through Wadden, if I remember correctly. But the one thing I do know is they operate London Victoria to Dorking via Sutton and Mitcham Eastfields. Going on to the outer suburban now, you've got London Victoria to Reigate. And then they have London Victoria to Horsham via Dorking, Sutton and Mitcham Eastfields. They've also got Redhill to Tunbridge, which is not necessarily outer suburban, it's more regional, but is in the outer suburban region. Another quick outer suburban route, London Victoria to East Grinstead via East Croydon. And then we head on to their mainline routes necessarily. I'll quickly jump over the regional routes now, which I think include Brighton to Orr via Eastbourne and Brighton to Seaford. They also have Brighton to Southampton Central, Portsmouth Harbour, and maybe Littlehampton, but I'm not too sure on that. I can't verify that. They do have Littlehampton to Portsmouth Harbour, I think. And they do have Littlehampton to Bognor Regis. You also have the Barnum Bognor Shuttle as well. That's another thing. And onto their main line routes now. They've got, another route I forgot, Eastbourne to Ashford International via Hastings. Finally, onto the mainline routes. There's one from London Bridge, which is the 1 train per hour Monday to Saturday route between London Bridge and Uckfield, stopping at East Croydon and calling all stops from Oxted. So basically, non-stop between London and Oxted, except for stop at East Croydon, and all stops from Oxted up to Uckfield, which I think is quite a cool route. I've been on that route. I'll get to the trains in a moment, which I've just remembered now. And all the other mainline trains depart from London Victoria, which includes London Victoria onwards to, I think it's Eastbourne, yes. So some London Victoria trains terminate Eastbourne, and the other trains turn around at Eastbourne and carry on to Orr. You also have London Victoria to Brighton, but Sundays only, and also a few hours a day. And then you've also got London Victoria to Littlehampton via Worthing, London Victoria to Portsmouth Harbour and Bognor Regis via and detaching at Horsham, so that's another dividing service. We've also got some Southampton Central Brighton trains and Southampton Central to London Victoria, but those are very limited now. So that is pretty much it. Also, Southern in recent years has gained an absolutely impeccable reliability record. up from the horror from previous years. So I will move on to the next operator now. So picking a random number of 19, Eurostar, which is going immediately into the S++ tier. There is truly so much to talk about Eurostar, partly why I've put it so high in today's tier list. Firstly, we're going to go over the rather simple route map, which, excluding all the connecting routes, it is pretty much London St Pancras International to Paris, Amsterdam, and Brussels. So yeah, I do think it does its job pretty well. I will say Eurostar is a fair bit expensive, if I'm being 100% honest. But especially for traveling on your own and everyone's paying for their own ticket, I do think it 100% is justified. I've been on Eurostar before, it's pretty good, and I will show you guys in a moment. So first things first, you have to look over the seating plans, which they helpfully provide in a lot of colour and a lot of detail, which is really appreciated. So this is a very, very common E320 or British Rail Class 374 electric multiple unit, which I think only works on the overhead system made by Siemens Desiro. It's a very, very good train. Very good. I've been on it. Now, in front and rear free coaches of the train are first class or business premier and standard premier, but I will get to that in a moment. Yeah, you've also got standard class as well. It's a bit of an interesting one in the seating plan because it has signs that, like, say, access to automatic door as well, which is very, very helpful. You've also got like USB PowerPoints, and you've got like PowerPoints as well. You've got all this sort of detail as well. Even distinction between that window and door. You've got single table, double table, and all sorts of seats and priority seats. So the standard class, they use 2+2 mainline. So you've got armrests and full width fixed tables at these are 4, and tray tables at airline style seats. And the first class, which I'm going to call it now, has full width fixed table. No, that's actually a lie. No, I think they've got tray tables at the airline style seats, which is a bit disappointing. But other than that, you've got the full width fixed tables at your bays of 2 and 4. I wonder if there's any bays of 3. I don't think there are. No, there aren't. So we've got a lot of toilets on this train as well. Some coaches have got 2 right next to each other. Others have got just 1, especially the ones with the accessible toilets. Actually, no, it looks like they've got a decent provision. There's also 2 bars in the centre of the train, as you can see clearly on this demonstration map. So other than the accessible toilets, other than the accessible coaches and the driving coaches, where the driving coaches have none and the accessible coaches have 1, all coaches have 2 toilets each, which is very, very plentiful. So that is a really good thing about Eurostar. You've also got the E300, which is the older British Rail Class 373, which are locomotive hauled, and also do have a few safety features as well, which I thought I'd mention. I'm not sure if the E320 has this, but I know the E300 has. Other than the power cars on each end, the coaches are articulated, or where they have bogies shared between coaches, which means if there were to be a derailment, the whole train, other than the power cars, would stay as one. They wouldn't like fold or whatever. They'll just stick as one. They're pretty much like one coach that like runs through, which is really good. The power cars are quite cool as well. So you've got dedicated first class in the middle of the train, which may be a bit troublesome if you are in standard and you're trying to get between the 2 parts. But other than that, I think it's quite good. There's probably too few tables, if I'm being honest. They've got tray tables, so this is for true of standard and first class. There are tray tables at airline style seats and full width fixed tables at bays of 4, and there are bays of 2 and first as well. First class is reclining 2+1 seats, while standard has 2+2. I think you've got a toilet for every coach of the train except the front and rear, which have 2. No, some have 2 toilets, some have 1. Don't think there are any that have none other than the bar coaches. So again, really good. And also, even though these trains are quite old, they've been refurbished thoroughly and definitely feel very, very fresh on both the inside and the outside. Yeah, they're really quite good. Unfortunately, they may be phased out of service soon, but yeah, they are really good trains, and that's like barely the tip of the iceberg. I've got to talk about the different travel classes. Now you've got standard class, which is Eurostar standard, just standard class. So there's not much to talk about the actual standard class, other than maybe some like luggage restrictions, some PowerPoints, and also catering as well on board the train, which is really good. You've got looks like drinks, sandwiches, hot food as well. You've got snacks and desserts and stuff. Probably one of the also I need to cover, you got like the drinks menu, so you've got like coffee and hot drinks, alcoholic drinks, cold drinks. And then you've got like deals, so you've got breakfast deals all day, and then you've got like alcohol and other stuff. Probably one of the most extensive standard class menus I've seen in Eurostar Plus. You'll start to see the idea of this a fair bit more. So this is basically, you get the hard product of a 2+1 seat, but you have, say, I think it's like you've got similar restrictions to standard class in terms of like ticket freedom and ticket. I think it's like a bit limited as well. But you do get the actual bigger seat, and you also get like a small menu as well. So you have like some breakfast, some lunch as well, complimentary, but not much. Eurostar Premier is basically like the true first class. It's again an absolutely exceptional service. I've only ever travelled in Eurostar Standard, but this definitely looks quite good. And I can imagine it probably would be as well, if I'm being completely honest. You got it's mainly to do with catering as well and service. There's also ticket freedom as well, so there are definitely flexible tickets for sure. You also get access to lounges as well, which is really good. So you have like food in the lounge. You have lots of different types of seats. You've got, yeah, here we go. You've got like cocktails and other stuff. You've got, that's pretty much, yeah. You get more. And I think they're mainly in London, but I think there are other lounges as well, which is quite nice. And we'll go to the menu, and this is a full complimentary menu. So you've got hot and cold breakfast, you've got hot and cold lunches. I think these are multiple. So from what I see, the lunch is actually multiple course. So you've got your starter, your main, your cheese, your dessert. So 4-course meal, and it comes with drinks as well. I don't think they've got dinner. Oh wait, no, hang on. Lunch and dinner is the same, and then breakfast is a bit different. So yeah, that is finally all to do with Eurostar. I think it's an incredibly good operator in my opinion. Maybe one of the best, if not the best. But I do think I might get to that in a moment. Depends on what operator we get next. So we're going to roll the number generator, which is going to have be number 6. Lumo. Bit of an interesting one. This is going to go into the S tier. Now, if I'm being honest, Lumo has some mixed bag things, so I'm going to be honest, their website is not the most user-friendly, and also, when I've been loading up the PDF of the onboard menu, I have had a few problems. So, as you can see here, I have quickly rendered up a Lumo seat plan, and one of the more notable things about Lumo is there is no first class. It is 100% standard class only. You have tables at every seat, but as you can already tell, you only have 2 bays of 4 per coach, or in other words, oh, hang on. So yes, there is actually only a total of, if I do the maths right, 10 bays of 4 on a 5-coach train, but it is a budget operator, so they do have a pass on that. You have tray tables at pretty much every other seat on the train. So a total of 40 seats will have a full fixed table, and every other seat has a tray table. But I actually think there could be a serious reason for the airline style seats being better. The main reason being the seat design is actually incredibly good. You've got reasonable upholstery. The seat is actually preset into a reclined position, which is quite nice. You've got armrests. The cushioning's really good. And the tray table is adjustable as well, so it can be bigger. So if you need to work on a laptop. And also, the main reason why the airline style seats might be better, the reading light is set into the seat back and has two levels of brightness, which is really good. It is directly there. It's useful, which is quite cool. And yeah, I think Lumo's done a good job with the seats on this train. Actually, it's one of my favorite IATs, as you saw in the Tierlist video. I think there's 4 toilets on each train, with I think like 2 basketball spaces and 2 accessible toilets out of 4. Overall, I think it's a pretty good train, if I'm being honest. I'll quickly go to their onboard menu. So if you're on the train, there's a few limited things you can get. Considering there's no first class, it's a budget operator as well. I think it is understandable to have a limited menu, especially when we go to their full menu, which I'll get to in a moment. But first, you've got this quick menu. So you've got like your snack boxes, which are quite good. I'm not 100% sure what's in them, but it's there. We've got some cold drinks, so alcohol, non-alcohol as well. We've got cookies and chocolates and crisps and some nice stuff as well. You've got some hot drinks too. Not too much, but semi-reasonable. But the real treat really lies in their pre-ordered food. So you've got lots of types of sandwiches and wraps. You've got a salad as well. You have some hot food as well. You've got pasties. Have you pronounced some pasties? Like sausage rolls. You've got baguettes, I think. And then you've got porridges and croissants, like just nice snacks. And generally got like crisps and chocolates. Yeah, got fruitcake and sweets. Got drinks, hot and hot, cold, alcoholic, non-alcoholic. You know, they have it. So their pre-ordered menu is actually really extensive. I find it's quite good. But if I'm being 100% honest, actually no. I'm probably going to go back when I say that. The main reason being that their train journeys are quite long. The shortest you could possibly have is Morpeth to Newcastle, pretty much. But the majority of journeys are going to be originating in London or going to London. So they are quite long journeys. I think at least 3 hours and probably no more than 6 hours in length. So it would make sense to pre-order some pretty good food for the long journey ahead, I do think. Even if you do get food before you board, I think by the end you may want to have some, or midway through the journey. I think that'd be pretty good. But yeah, that is Lumo done. So pretty good operator, but as I've already discussed with LNER, they are better. Lumo is actually budget operator. They're really good if you're traveling on your own, if you're traveling with friends, or if you're traveling with where everyone's paying for their own ticket. But if you were to travel as a family, they're quite bad, especially not just because tickets are quite simple, but also LNER has family deals as well. And when you consider the full range of food and stuff that LNER has, it really does take it into context that LNER is probably better, even as a full service operator. But yeah, with that, we'll re-roll the number generator. The first one, which is going to be an incredibly controversial opinion, because I do know that it can cost a bit. And also the reliability. I know the reliability is truly terrible, but they do have some of the more diverse route networks, and also they do have to deal with the West Coast Main Line, which infrastructurally has like quite far behind. You've also got just capacity limits. The trains are already as long as they physically can be. So there are many cases where it's not their fault, and that's partially why I've not deducted points for train operating companies for poor reliability. Avanti West Coast got completely straight faced here. It's wherever I've put it. I don't know where I've put that. Yeah, it looks like I'm. Oh, there it is. Immediately S plus plus. So I'll cut to some tabs and some quite serious reasons why I'm saying it's the best operator in the UK with such a straight face. Again, excluding reliability. So this is the Avanti West Coast route map. Very comprehensive indeed. And this where I really need to justify my opinions for why I am talking so good about Avanti. I am aware of the problems, but I have travelled on them before, and they've been really good. So the first place to start, I think they've also not neatly labelled each of the different main routes. So I'll start off with Route A logically. So we've got Route A, which starts at London Euston, heads via Birmingham International and Birmingham New Street and Wolverhampton, heading to Crewe via Stoke-on-Trent, and heading to Manchester Piccadilly via Crewe and Macclesfield. Also, instead of heading to Manchester or Crewe, they can also carry onwards to Blackpool North, Glasgow Central and Edinburgh. Route B is a simple route between London Euston and Wolverhampton via Birmingham New Street. Route C is quite interesting. Birmingham New Street and London Euston to Wrexham General, Chester and Holyhead. Route D is London Euston to Liverpool Lime Street. Route E heads from London Euston to Manchester Piccadilly via either Crewe or Stoke-on-Trent and Macclesfield. This time, the last three routes, C, D, and E, don't run via Birmingham New Street, but the other two did. And the final one, Route F, is London Euston to Blackpool North and Glasgow Central. Now, there are lots of variations in services. Some call it all state. Well, when I say all stations, I don't necessarily mean absolutely every station, but every station Avanti serves between Glasgow Central and London Euston, and some run fast from London Euston all the way to Warrington Bank Quay, so a good 200 to 300 miles non-stop, which is, in my opinion, a truly impressive feat. And after Warrington Bank Quay, it may call it limited stations like Wigan NorthWestern, Preston, probably Penrith, Northlake, Carlisle, and Glasgow Central. Like that is probably one of the not all trains call it all stations shown, as it says there. Now we need to head over to the seating plans, which may be the start of an indication as to the problems with enough supply on the West Coast Main Line. You'll start to notice that the trains get quite long. So the 5-car trains can be doubled up to make 10-car trains, but you'll see in a moment it can get quite out of control. So as you can see here, the Avero seating plan, or I think the 805 and 807 units, you have got 4 coaches of standard class with full width fixed tables at bays of 4 and tray tables at airline style seats. We've got, I think, 4 toilets, one of which is accessible and has only one accessible seat. There isn't a second one, whilst most other operators do have that second seat. You do have a bar, which is good, if I'm being honest. And the first class, you've got one accessible toilet, one wheelchair space, and plenty of first class seats. I'm not sure if the airline style seats have forward fixed tables, but it does look like the bays do, which is good. As you can already see, very, very high density seating plan. You've got up to 82 seats in a single coach, and already the biggest symptom that there's not enough demand, you're pushing all the first class into half a coach, not even a full coach, whilst most other operators such as Great Western Railway and London Northeastern Railway also hold trains as well, has another half of the fourth coach designated first class as well. The only other operator that does this is TPE or TransPennine Express with just the little first class section. In the 7-car train, what you're going to see is something a bit more reasonable, but also they do have quite a fair more fixed tables, but you still have 84 standard class seats, which is still quite a lot. Now, what you see here is 6 onboard toilets, 2 of which are accessible, and only 2 wheelchair spaces instead of the 3 that come with most trains. Yeah, you've got 5.5 coaches of standard, and you've got roughly 1 1/3 of first class. Again, with pretty much the same seats as standard, not standard, the 5-coach train. These are newer trains, you're going to start seeing more of these. Here are the super voyages, which are starting to phase out. So you've got a shop, and you've got some catering area. The first class, I can verify, has forward fixed tables at every seat, including the airline style seats. You do have your 4 coaches of standard. Same deal with pretty much any other standard class on an intercity train with your tables and all that. The first class, as I've just described, yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not really much else to say, but the Pendolino seating plan is where things start to get out of hand. Now, what you see here is a bit of an interesting seating plan, if I'm being honest. From my understanding, Coach F and Coach U, or Coach U and Coach G, are not on 9-coach trains, but I'm not sure if there are 9-coach trains still hanging around. But you can already tell it's 11 coaches for an intercity train. Most intercity trains aren't this long. The only other operator with such a high proportion of long trains is probably Thameslink with their 12-car class 700 units. But yeah, as an intercity train operator, this is quite a lot. The Pendolino and the Voyager trains are tilting, but main focus on the Pendolino. These trains aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So you've got forward fixed tables at bays of 4 in standard, tray tables at your airline style seats. With first class, you've got forward fixed tables at every seat, which is very good. One good thing about the Pendolino in first class and standard premium is you've got these fridges throughout the coaches with bottles of still and sparkling water. One of the good things about the Pendolino is you have 3 accessible seats, 1 in first, 2 in standard, which is very good. You also have your shop in coach C, which has been fully refurbished. It's quite nice. You've got bicycle space in the front coach heading away from London. I've never really understood the traveller seats, if I'm being honest, these two. If anyone can let me know, please drop a comment in the comment sections below. I'd really appreciate that. Now, yeah, you've got your standard class, your first class, and either this coach or both this coach and this coach can be designated as a standard premium coach, which is something I'll get to in a later. Avanti is quite interesting with this. So I'll swiftly move on to the standard class, or just basic class. So you have I've pretty much described it. So I think it's a base of 4. You get 3-pin plug sockets. I'm not really sure about other airline style seats. I don't think they do. And then standard premium is basically best described as Eurostar's, I forgot what it's called. Basically, it's first class but without catering. So you've got, as it says here, you've got bigger seats. You've got the 2+1 reclining seats with armrests, forward fixed tables at every seat. So you've got charging ports at every seat. Yeah, it's really good. It's also a fair bit cheaper than first class. You don't get lounge access, and you don't get I don't think you get catering either. They're only available on the Pendolinos, as I've said. The upgrade price of £17.50 is actually not too bad for a long distance train, so 2 hours. As a matter of fact, or £35 to go 4 to 6 hours, or considering the delays, 10 hours. £35, which is going to be refunded anyway, is not a bad shout, if I'm being honest. So yeah, quite decent. Yeah, another good thing, you've got train managers as well, where you can instantly upgrade your ticket. You don't have to potentially get like a penalty fare or whatnot. You got that. You got your, and yeah, quite good if I'm being honest. I'll move on to the first class, which is basically the seats are they are the same as standard premium, but you do have your catering. I think it's got like, I want to quickly check the first class service. So it's kind of all over the place, if I'm being honest, when it comes to that. So you got your first class, you got your, yeah, they're all here and stuff. So wouldn't really worry about that because you can find them elsewhere. So you've got the full list here, which is good. The onboard shop. We'll check it. Look, this is the first time we're looking at this actually. So yeah, oh, not bad, not bad. You've got plenty of hot drinks. You've got plenty of cold drinks, alcohol served to customers 18 plus. That's probably the most obvious note I've actually seen. Instead of like a small side note like this, that's probably like the most obvious thing I've seen, which is good. It's good in my opinion. You also got like your meal deal, your hot drink and cake deal as well, listed in like these nice little colours. You had two for 9, 4 for 50, which is not bad. 2 for 11. You've got your savoury snacks as well, so you've got like your crisps, your popcorn, that sort of stuff. Having this, great. Not sponsored, by the way, but again, I wouldn't mind if I was. That Pringles sour cream and onion hits different, especially the small one. You've got bakery, so you've got like some shortbreads, millionaire shortbread, brownies, and other stuff. Not bad. Got your nice little sweets, so you got like your sweets and chocolates and stuff. Got your, this is probably some of the better hot and cold food options I have seen, which is pretty good. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So especially for trains, one of the better ones, a bit like Eurostar and LNER, they do pretty good catering for standard class. So I don't know what the first class is going to be like, if that's changed at all. They got like your lounges and stuff. They've got lounge menus as well, which is rather interesting. I've not seen so clear a lounge menu before. So you've got like your, so it's first class service. They're the same. I'll quickly look at the lounge menu. So say Euston Lounge and Regional Lounge. That's quite nice. I don't have to download a PDF for all of them. So, oh, Regional Euston. So there we go. You've got your breakfast options there. You've got your lunch food as well. You've got your drinks, alcohol. Pretty good. That's Euston. And I think you've got a limited amount of the lunch and breakfast options as well. Not too bad if I'm being honest, particularly for a lounge menu where all of this is, as you can see by the lack of prices, complimentary. And then furthermore, I'll quickly show you some of the, if the website works, that is. Oh, there we go. I need to click more here. As you can see on the weekend, you've got one nice PDF. So we'll look at that. So you've got some more simple breakfasts. Also some nice larger ones as well, which is quite good. You've got your lunches, you've got your drinks, alcohol. Yeah. So the weekend menu is acceptable. Not bad. Sorry, not necessarily. I say good and definitely far from bad, but the weekdays menu looks a bit more promising to me. So I'll just quickly click on this 3 times. See that? So you've got the Vero, so you've got lots of breakfast options here, which is really quite good. You've got your lunch options as well, more good. You've got your drinks, your alcohol. The Voyager menu has got more of roughly the same thing, which I think is quite acceptable for a long distance train service in the realms of Avanti. I wonder what the Pendolino one is going to look like though. That will probably be interesting. Not necessarily in terms of breakfast, but still pretty good. All the lunch options, which is quite. I think this is a bit more substantial. Not necessarily. I think it's roughly the same, but yes, I've finally covered all of Avanti West Coast, which does show a bit. I mean, there is one upside to delays, if there were to be one. The delays are significant enough. You can get a substantial portion of your ticket refunded, which is quite good. But yes, there's, as you've seen by the extensive menus and stuff, there is a reason why I've put it in S++. I have travelled in standard class on Avanti from Euston to Penrith, in case if anyone is wondering. It's not something that's none of your business. I feel okay saying that. But yeah, I hope you guys are okay with that. That is an incredibly controversial one, and that's partly why I've not included delays, but I think they're going to start factoring other trains on the tier list as well. And even if I did, because it's all relative, I think it wouldn't matter anyway. So I'll use the random number generator again. Number 9, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Southwestern Railways E tier. Now, it is a bit disappointing, but I will have to show you the reasons why I've put it quite low. So Southwestern Railway, I'll quickly get this out of the way now. For journeys which don't stretch 3 hours, I think other than the Exeter journeys, other than those, none of their journeys last more than 3 hours. And, well, maybe a few engineering worked trains and whatever. But other than that, they don't last more than 3 hours. And I do find it's a bit disappointing to see the train tickets so expensive, and that's for like individuals. And when you actually consider like the amount of time that you're going to find, like it's not justified whatsoever. It's not good. There's also no catering as well, not at all. No first class catering, none of that. Incredibly disappointing with an operator of this size. I'll quickly go over the individual trains now, which is quite a fair bunch, if I'm being honest. So you've got your 455s, which are quite bad. The worst you can get that you could save. No tables, just 2+2 Metro. But at least they aren't ironing boards. Otherwise, they would have been destined to scrapping already. Well, they will be in like the next 2 years. Semi-unfortunately. If I'm being honest, I am a little bit happy to see the end of them. Because they're just not really good. Yeah. The 707s are basically just newer versions that have ironing boards as seats, but you don't really see them. Yeah. They don't actually exist on the Southwestern network anymore. They've all moved over to Southeastern. But yes, they're just 2 wheelchair spaces. Neither of these previous 2 have had onboard toilets, which is not good, by the way. I do not like the idea of trains that don't have toilets. And the Southwestern Railways does have a lot of like different train types. I'll move on to the 484 now, which is what they use on the Island line. So journeys are absolute max half an hour, but definitely shorter in practice. You have nice USB seats. You've got not USB seats, USB charging ports. You've got reasonable seats as well. Yeah, they're not bad. They're definitely acceptable for the short journeys they do. Again, unfortunately, there are no uh, first class, no catering, no tables, no toilets as well. The next one up is the Arteria, which is a bit of an interesting one. Again, unfortunately, no first class on this train, but the website does seem to wax a bit of lyrical about these trains, which I can understand in plenty of ways. You've got things like more capacity, better performance, cycle racks, accessible toilets, which is good. That's the main one. Charging ports at every seat. I think it's 1 3-pin and 2 USB per pair, which is a lot, especially for a suburban train. Got onboard Wi-Fi, journey information, two seats, air conditioning, wider and faster opening doors, especially as plug doors, which I find is an interesting decision, by the way. I think that's really good because plug doors are generally supposed to be slower than metro style pocket doors, which just open in the train, like the 707s and the 455s. And yeah, it's definitely oh yes, accessible bioreactor commissioned emission toilets, which is particularly interesting. And yes, you're right. 1 toilet per 5 car train and 2 in every 10 car train, which is pretty good, especially for an in a suburban train, which I think these are what they're used for. You've got like um, luggage spaces, also pram spaces as well, as it's said, which is pretty good. So you've got 2 and 4 wheelchair spaces respectively in 5 and 10 car trains. You've got bicycle, 6 bicycle spaces, or 3 bicycle spaces for every 5 coaches. So you got some videos, you got some pictures. SWR have made a rather interesting decision here. So you don't have tray tables at airline style seats, but you've got fixed tables the width of a seat at bays of 4. So that is a rather interesting decision in my opinion. Again, I do quite like these trains. They do look quite good. Yeah, this is a network. The furthest I'll run is Farnham and Reading. I think these are acceptable distances. Although, in my opinion, I wouldn't run them if, say, I put my hat on and say I was running the train operating company. The furthest I'd run them is Hampton Court, Chesington South, Epsom, uh, Shepton's okay, and the Hounslow Loop. Nothing further than what I've just said. I think they are putting journeys a bit too long, in my opinion. Now, unfortunately, there isn't really. Doesn't seem to be a seat map, but I don't really mind. There are pretty good trains, and I think the pictures say enough. If I head to there, I think I would probably go. Have I even done? Oh yeah, they're not even in use, so I'm not even sure. I'm looking at them. You've got the 4A. I'll go to 450 next. To the most common train, 3+2 seating with tray tables at airline style seats. I'm not sure if they've got fixed tables or width of the seat at bays of 4 and 6. I'm not sure. These trains are put on journeys up to Portsmouth Harbour and Poole, which is far too long. Far too long. These barely should be even be going to like Farnham and Woking. So basically, I think they're going to. I think even going to Reading is too far for these trains. So other than that, the map I just showed you, I think that's what these trains should run on. Definitely nothing mainline at all. You have 2 toilets, half of which are accessible, 2 wheelchair spaces. Um, First class is 2+2 leather reclining seats with charging ports at every seat. Every seat is a bay of 4 with a forward fixed table. Yeah, I'll swiftly move on to the 458, which I do prefer a little bit more, if I'm being honest. 458. there we go. So you've got refurbishment scheme as it says here. So these are the newer versions. These are the older versions. So, oh yes, they've got the full. So unfortunately, they only run on metro services. Now the first one's a bit justified. So other than the cab ends where you have first class, you've got 2+2 seats throughout with tray tables at airline style seats. The only time you have full width fixed tables, full width fixed tables is in the 2 bays of 4 at each end of a 5-coach train. You have 2 toilets, half of which are accessible. Now, when it comes to mainline, you've got again 2 toilets. So this coach here is removed. Got 2 toilets, half of which are accessible, 2 wheelchair spaces, and every seat has all seats are 2+2 with tray tables at airline style seats and 4 fixed tables at bays of 4. The seats at the far ends are first class, leather reclining seats with charging ports as well. Yeah, so they pretty much talk about like bicycles and other stuff as well. So Southwestern Rail is really good in this regard for like all the provisions they have. Which is good, I'm going to be honest. There are a lot of SWR trains. I'm getting to the end soon, I think. The 444, which has 2+2 seating with tray tables at every airline style seat and 4 fixed tables at bays of 4. You've got 4 toilets, so you've got 3 regular, 1 accessible with 2 wheelchair spaces, and the first class are leather and recline, which is pretty good. Unfortunately, the 2+2, in my opinion, 2+1 would have been better. There we go. Yeah. And then there's 2 more trains to go. You got the 158. Which, they operate the London to Exeter, Castle Kerry, Westbury, and also the Salisbury to Romsey trains via Southampton Central and Eastleigh, as they say. These, I think, are the only 158s to have a first class. They've got a small little first class. So standard, it's 2+2 with tray tables at airline style seats and 4 fixed tables at bays of 4. As to first class, every seat has a 4 width fixed table, which is good. Also 2+1 reclining. You've got charging ports in first class as well, which for a train of such an age of a 158, which is about 30 years old, I'd say is really good. So I do quite like the 158s. As for the 15, I think it's, if I can find it, the 159. They don't run on the Eastleigh services. I've also said on the other one, you've got 2 toilets, half of which are accessible. This one, you've got an extra toilet for the extra coach. The first class is a fair bit bigger, which is certainly a good thing. Yeah. Well, it's pretty much the same as the 158, just great coaches, so it's just better. I'll quickly double check the first class on the 158. Just 13, which is a bit interesting. But that's all of the trains on Southwestern Railway done. No, I do not want that. First class, as you can see here, you can make some pause if you want to look at some important stuff as well. Yeah. Notes about this. And I think from what I've heard, the reason why the first class on 158s and 159s are unrefurbished is because this new first class has been so unpopular. Southwestern Railway refurbished the standard, but left the old first class as it was because it was better. Now the full extensive Southwestern Railway map looks roughly like this. So you've got London Waterloo, so all mainline trains. So other than the regional services that they do have, all services start or end at London Waterloo, except in times of disruption. So you've got inner suburban, you've got the peak time only Hounslow Loop line, which runs via Barnes, Kew Bridge, Hounslow, Twickenham, and back up again via Richmond as well. You've also got peak time only services London Waterloo to Shepperton via Strawberry Hill and Richmond. You also have some more inner suburban services, so London Waterloo to Chiltern South via Rains Park, London Waterloo to Hampton Court via Rains Park and Wimbledon, and finally you have London Waterloo to Shepperton via Wimbledon, Kingston, and Sunbury, and also the Kingston Loop line, London Waterloo to London Waterloo via Wimbledon, Kingston, and Richmond, and back up again. That was only in suburban. Middle suburban has London Waterloo to Weybridge, not the direct route down the main line, but via Putney, Barnes Bridge, Hounslow, down via Staines, Virginia Water, and Chertsey. That way. You also have London Waterloo to Windsor and Eton and Riverside via Richmond, calling at most stations but not all. You also have London Waterloo to Dorking, which I think is all stops except Queenstown Road, and maybe Earlsfield, but I think it does stop there. You've got 3 different Guildford services, so all are via Wimbledon. One heads via Epsom and London Road Guildford. Another one heads via Wimbledon, Surbiton, Claygate, and London Road Guildford. And the last one heads via Wimbledon, Surbiton, and Woking, which is a bit more interesting. Just down main lines only, actually. And yeah, that was only middle suburban. Not even north suburban yet. So outer suburban is, I like to think it's a bit more simple. You've got London Waterloo to Reading, calling at some but not all stations. You also have a few daily trains. London Waterloo, I think it's to Aldershot via Richmond, Twickenham, Staines, Virginia Water, Ascot, Camberley, and Ashfell that way. With most trains running between Ascot and Aldershot. There's also Aldershot to Guildford as well. So there's that line, which is also as suburban. We've also got London Waterloo, so semi-fast London Waterloo to Hazelmere services via Woking and Guildford. There it is. And also pushing on outer suburban, as you can see by the first class zonal map, which I think does a pretty good job of representing where some of these boundaries are. It's minus Basingstoke. Speaking of which, you do have trains London Waterloo to Woking, which is middle suburban, and London Waterloo to Basingstoke, outer suburban. Another outer suburban route is London Waterloo to Alton and Farnham via Woking and Farnham. We've also got a few trains that terminate at Farnham as well. And the main line services, I'm not going to get to yet. I'm going to cover the regional services. So you've got your Island Line, which features, I think it's Ryde Pierhead to either Ryde St John's Road or Shanklin, with the Shanklin trains also heading via. Basically, you've got the Ryde Pierhead to Shanklin, with some trains terminating at Ryde St John's Road, which is, I think it's the biggest station on that line with 3 platforms. Some more regional services include the Ports of Harbour to, I think it terminates at Southampton Central, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it does, yeah. And then you've got your Brockenhurst to Lymington Town, Brockenhurst to Lymington Pier services. You also have your Salisbury to Romsey via Southampton Central and Eastleigh, coming back and terminating at Romsey, as you can see by this rather head on a 90-degree approach by this line that you can see here. And finally, I have realised I can't even stop talking. There's also the Bournemouth to Winchester trains. Now, finally, I can start talking about the mainline services, which include London Waterloo to Portsmouth Harbour, with some trains stopping terminating at Portsmouth Southsea as well. You have the London Waterloo. So there's actually two different ways between London Waterloo and Portsmouth Harbour. So the first and more popular way heads down via Woking, Guildford, Hazelmere, and Petersfield, and just heads down. We've also got the other route, which heads from London Waterloo to Portsmouth Harbour via Woking, Basingstoke, Winchester, Eastleigh, Fareham, and then you've got Cosham, Hillsea, Fratton, Portsmouth and Southsea, Portsmouth Harbour. But I do think they continue all the way to Portsmouth Harbour. You've got the flagship journey between London, Waterloo, and Weymouth, as seen by this incredibly straight line. It is literally the only ruler straight line on this map. London Waterloo, heading through Clapham Junction, Woking, Basingstoke, Winchester, Southampton Central, Brockenhurst, Bournemouth, Dorchester South, and Weymouth. Although I have seen a few times trains, when they run severely late, they pretty much run London Waterloo, Southampton Central, Bournemouth, and Weymouth. So just signifies how important Southampton Central really is. The final route I've not spoken about is the West of England main line, which is goes from London Waterloo, branches off at Basingstoke, although at the flying junction with the Southwest main line, it takes a priority, which is rather interesting. So it heads off at Basingstoke, goes to Salisbury, where some trains head up to Westbury, and reverse to head past Frome, Bruton, Castle Carey, finishing at Yeovil Junction. Some peak time trains to terminate. You've got trains that head there via Westbury, Frome, Castle Carey, terminating at Yeovil Junction. Some trains terminate at Salisbury, with a few of those at peak times being extended up to Gillingham, not in Kent, but I think wherever this is, I don't know my counties well. And then this route after Westbury is not practiced anymore, but after Yeovil Junction, it just heads on to Exeter St David's and Exeter Central, which, in my opinion, is the recommended way of travelling to the far southwest, in my opinion, because it's scenic, it's comfortable, and its overall reliability is not good. But I mean, yeah. Other than that, so Southwestern Railway, the only real reason it's even being docked points in the first place is because of its hugely expensive cost. But other than that, it's just an average operator with your average seats and stuff. There's no catering as well. But other than that, it's okay. It's not bad, but it's too expensive sometimes. Now, next up, I have to calculate the next train operating company, Transport for Wales, which is going to go, Transport for Wales, which is going to go into the lower end of the S Plus tier. So there is a lot to get through with Transport for Wales, one of the better operators. So first things first is their absolutely extensive route map. So one thing I will have to get through. Yeah. So one of the first things, I'll cover South Wales first, or just colour. So you've got the orange here. So you've got the North Wales, South Wales service, which starts at Holyhead, travels via Bangor, Llandudno Junction, got Chester, heads through Wrexham General, Rubon, Shrewsbury, Hereford, Newport, Cardiff, and terminates at Cardiff Central. We've got the light blue Marches line, which heads from Manchester Piccadilly via Crewe, I think, yes, through Crewe, Shrewsbury, Newport, Cardiff Central, and carries on to Bridgend, Swansea, Carmarthen, and either Fishguard Harbour or Milford Haven. Although I think that is in Welsh, but I think it says rarely served station, so most trains head to Carmarthen, I think, but I'm not 100% sure. I can't confirm that. Now, with that, there's the Cambrian line, which is the blue line, with trains heading from Birmingham International via Birmingham New Street, Shrewsbury, and they head up to, not going to try and pronounce that before they detach, with every junction having separate platforms for the two branches, one to Aberystwyth and one to, not going to try and pronounce that place. I'm not going to try and mess up the pronunciation, it's not happening. Got the Heart of Wales line from Shrewsbury, just to Swansea. North Wales coastline, the Green line, from Holyhead via Llandudno Junction, and Chester, Wrexham General, Shrewsbury, and heads to Cardiff Central. So it looks pretty much the same as the North Wales. I think I might have read that wrong actually. I might need to reread that. So you got, yeah, so that. No, it doesn't head to Cardiff. It heads from Holyhead via Llandudno Junction, Chester, Wrexham General, and from Shrewsbury it goes to Birmingham New Street and Birmingham International. Yes, the colours get confusing sometimes. You've got the Conwy Valley line from this place, which I'm not trying to pronounce, up to Llandudno via Llandudno Junction. That's pretty much the only thing I can say about that. I think that's not necessarily infrequently served as it is maybe request stop. It's, I don't know, might want to look up the translation for that. And then you've got the Borderland line in purple, so Bidston to Wrexham Central via Chiltern and Wrexham General. You've got the Llandudno Manchester line, which heads from Manchester Airport via Chester up to Llandudno Junction, with some trains carrying on to Bangor. Yeah, I think that's what the dotted line means. So some trains head that way. You've got the West Wales line in weird shade of green. It heads from Pembroke Dock via Carmarthen up to, I think, Swansea. Yeah, that's where it stops. With that, there is another route. So you've got the Swan line in brown, roughly, I think. If I can find it even, it's getting impossible to do this. Yes, there it is. So from Wrexham General via Chester up to Liverpool Lime Street, which is interesting. You have the Cheltenham Spa route. I can find that. Yes, Cheltenham Spa through Cardiff Central, branching off at Bridgend to whatever that place is. Not pronouncing it. Chester to Crewe. So yeah, Chester to Crewe, pretty much. Not in Wales, but still. The Crewe to Shrewsbury, so Crewe to Shrewsbury. Not sure if it heads through Wales or not. You've got the South Wales Valleys, which we'll get to in a moment. You've got the whatever that is Vale line. Can't pronounce that. Not pronouncing that. You've got Vale Town, which heads down either to Cardiff Central or Newport. And the second to last one, Liverpool to Wrexham, which just heads from Liverpool. Hang on, I've read that wrong. So the Swan line, so that was Liverpool to Wrexham General. The Swan line is somewhere. It's also in brown. Oh, here it is, tucked away at the bottom. Pretty much all stops between Cardiff Central and Swansea, to be honest. That's pretty much it. And you've got the South Wales Valleys, or the South Wales Metro, from this place to, and this place, this place, this place, Brighton. So from those 5 places, they just, so these two, so let's call them line 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So lines 1 and 2 head to Penarth, Barry Island, and Bridgend via Cardiff Central. Lines 3, 4, and 5 head to Cardiff Central or Cardiff Bay via Cardiff Queen Street. So that is all of the Transport for Wales Valley routes done, or Transport for Wales line. You've got trains, so this is their rolling stock. So you've got 150s with when I say the generic layout in inverted commas, I'm talking about 2+2 mainline with armrests, tray tables at airline style seat, and forward fixed tables at bays of 4, as you can see here. So that's what I'm going to call generic standard. They've got one accessible toilet with 2 wheelchair spaces. 153, again, you've got generic standard with the, I think it's, you've got these trains here. So the refurbished sets have 2 wheelchair spaces, the non has only 1, and only the non-light refurbished has an accessible toilet. Yeah. So I think they're only coupled to units with a toilet, and they do have end gangways, the 153s, so you can walk to a unit if it has a toilet. So yes, you've got just generic standard. The 158s also have generic standard, but they don't have an assistance button. The 153s don't have an assistance button either, and nor does the 150. Yeah, you just got generic standard with 2 toilets, one of which is accessible and has 2 wheelchair spaces. 170 doesn't have an assistance button. You've also got no Wi-Fi. You've got generic standard with well, 1 toilet per coach, and one of which is accessible and has 2 wheelchair spaces. Yeah, the 175s do not have an assistance button, and well, have 1 toilet per coach, one of which is accessible, and there are 2 wheelchair spaces. You've got the class 769, which has, well, 3+2 in standard with no tables, 1 toilet which is accessible and with 2 wheelchair spaces. And I think this one, I think you've got like first class 2+1, maybe XGWR. I think, not looking from it, yeah, pretty decent. I'll get to the Mark 4 in a moment. The 230s have just more generic standard, except from a few bay seats. You've also got an accessible toilet with wheelchair spaces. 197s in a moment. Got the class 231 with just generic standard, 1 accessible toilet and 2 wheelchair spaces. The class 756 with just generic standard, 1 toilet, 2 wheelchair spaces. The class 398 with just 2+2, no toilets but 2 wheelchair spaces and no tables. So I'll quickly move over to the 197 now. So yes, so all of them have generic standard. 2 toilets on 3-car trains, 1 on 2-car trains, at least 1 on all trains is well, 1 on all trains is an accessible toilet with 2 wheelchair spaces. The gap here, by the way, is the catering area, I think. And some of them have a standard plus section here with 2+1 reclining. I think they're reclining seats with 4 fixed tables at every seat. Yes, it is. You've got 4 fixed tables. And you get armrests and stuff as well, which is quite nice. And also the Mark 4 coaches, which I'm going to look at now. They have generic standard. You've got a bar, and there is 4 toilets, one of which is accessible and has 2 wheelchair spaces. And you have first class, which features 2+1 reclining leather seats with curtains, armrests, 4 fixed tables at absolutely every seat. And yeah, I think it's, oh yeah, curtains, but that's roughly it for all of the trains. Fairly done. You've got the standard plus, which it just roughly says here. First class tickets. Oh, first class is available. Yeah, just some stuff, pretty much. And then first class is the Mark 4 coaches. The standard plus was the 197. And yeah, you've got like things about upgrades and stuff, fine details. The trolley menu looks something like this. So you just have some hot drinks, some cold drinks, some light sandwiches, and snacks and stuff. You've got alcohol. Bilingual Welsh and English, which is quite good. All day menu on the Intercity 225 sets. Well, not really. Got the Mark IV coaches, better described as. You've got like hot food. You've got, I think it's hot food, sandwiches as well, in addition to the other menu. And then you've got your fine first class dining. So you've got your breakfast menu, your lunch and dinner menu, and you've got your drinks. So you've got some pretty good full breakfast menus as well. You got your lunch and dinner menu, which is multiple course. So you've got your starter, your main, dessert as well, which is really, really good. And your drinks, which is just full of wines and hot drinks. You've got cold drinks as well. So yeah, I think it's pretty good, to be honest. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why Transport for Wales is going to be so high today. So yeah, random number generator. Number 14. Well, I've just realised I might need to do a recap. So you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So out of 14 operators, which one will it be? 5. 5 Northern is going to go into the C tier. It's pretty much average. So Northern is quite simple to get over with. Some trains do not have tables, but their mainline trains have 2+2 mainline with armrest, trade, and generic standard. Already described what that was earlier in the video. And their route network is going to make up for the lack of first class or catering on any of their trains. So I think this is so complicated to look at, partially because I've not looked at it before. You've got trains from Nottingham, either via Derby or Langley Mill, which can head to Lincoln, Cleethorpes. Okay. There's way too much to discuss here. But basically, Chathill, Saltburn, Whitby, Scarborough, Hull, Cleethorpes, Lincoln, Nottingham, Buxton, Stoke-on-Trent, Crewe, Chester, Ellesmere Port, Liverpool, Lime Street, Southport, Blackpool South, Blackpool North, and Carlisle are the extensive service. You've got other terminating stations as well, such as Bishop Auckland, Windermere, Morecambe, Heysham Port, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. Clitheroe is another one as well. Ilkley. Then there's some more, such as Ormskirk, Kirkby. I don't think I've mentioned that. There's a few more. Manchester Airport is an example of such. You also have, I think, Rose Hill, Hadfield, Glossop, Stalybridge. It's a bit like picking needles out of a haystack here. Bradford, Forster Square, Bradford Interchange are a few more. We have Castleford, 4 more interchange stations. And I think that is it for the true terminal stations, but you've got a few other like important interchanges as well. These include places like Stockport, Manchester Piccadilly, Manchester Oxford Road. If I can find it, Manchester Victoria, which is on the other line. You also have Preston. There's Carlisle, which is already mentioned. There's Leeds here. There's Huddersfield, Halifax, Barnsley interchange over there, and Rotherham Central is another loop as well. I think looking through, that is pretty much it not really much else. I could pick through threads about every single line here, but we're already here all day. I don't want to spend any more time. I was about to say we're going to spend all day here, but sorry guys, not much I can do. Do 14, 13, 12. So the next operator we're going to review is cross country, which is going to fall into an A tier, which is, I think, one of the higher tiers. I'll show you some stuff in a moment. So cross country is one of the higher ranked train operating companies in today's tier list. There are a few things we need to get through. Unfortunately, the route map is not designed in that Harry Beck first introduced for the London Underground, which is a simple diagram, but instead it's a literal map of the UK, geographically accurate with like all the stations and stuff listed. But as you can see, trains from Aberdeen, Dundee, and Glasgow join together at Haymarket. Well, let's say join together, but trains from Aberdeen, Dundee, and Glasgow head via Haymarket, Edinburgh, Newcastle, Durham, Darlington, and York, heading either via Doncaster or Leeds, and Sheffield as well, through Derby, with Nottingham joining as well. There's also the Manchester Piccadilly branch, which has trains via Stoke-on-Trent and Crewe. With these heading into Wolverhampton, the Nottingham, Leeds, York, Edinburgh, Glasgow, and Aberdeen trains heading via Tamworth. And these two branches, as well as the route from Stansted Airport, Cambridge, and Leicester, joining together at Birmingham. So also cover a few other trains. So you do have some trains between Cardiff Central and Bristol Temple Meads, with a few limited trains from Hainton as well. But the main route also covers Penzance, Plymouth, Exeter, St David's, Bristol Temple Meads, and Cardiff Central, where Cardiff Central trains and Bristol Temple Meads follow the same route from Cheltenham Spa. There's also trains between Bristol Parkway and Gloucester as well. And these from Cheltenham Spa head up to Birmingham. You also have Bournemouth trains from Bournemouth, Southampton Central, Reading, Oxford, and Leamington Spa, either via Coventry and Birmingham International, just another route, all into Birmingham New Street. So other than a few branches between Bristol, Temple Meads, Newport, and also I think it's not much else. Oh, and also Gloucester, Bristol Parkway. Pretty much the whole cross-country network heads via Birmingham New Street, which does cause congestion, but if you are living in Birmingham, that's nice. It's like the secondary to living in London, and as you can see, none of cross country's network even touches the capital. The closest it gets is even Stansted Airport in the first place. But yes, cross country basically covers all the different train services in Birmingham, like all the other operators do in London. Now you do have two types of trains. You've got your Class 170 Turbo Stars, with this coach B being optional. You do have your you've got your generic standard, as well as at one cab end you've got 2+1 reclining first class seats with tray tables at your airline style seats and forward fixed tables at your base of 2 and 4. That is pretty much it, other than the fact you have got one toilet in each of the driving coaches, and one of which is accessible with 2 wheelchair spaces. Your Voyagers, where it's to be 4 coaches, omit coach D, which is the non-reservable coach, which is convenient because if a 5-coach train is swapped out for a 4-coach train, all the reserved seats can still apply, which is a very, very useful and versatile use of the 4 and 5 coach class 220 and 221 Voyagers. So in standard class, you've got your generic standard, although I will admit that probably maybe too few bays of 4. In first class, you've got 2+1 reclining seats with armrests and forward fixed tables at every single seat, which is a good thing. You have uniquely every single toilet is accessible. It is a universally accessible toilet. but only 2 of which reach their full potential. So you've got 2 wheelchair spaces, 1 in first, 1 in standard. Yeah, that's pretty much it. First class, which I think, if I've not described already, it's more comfortable. It's nice phrasing as well. It's on every train as well, which is quite nice. So you don't have to worry about like if the first class is declassified or whatever. It's just isn't. You've got the complimentary first class menu, which just features some light breakfast, some snacks, some lunch. I think it's hot and cold food. You've got some cold drinks and some hot drinks as well, which is fair. I think on the longest journeys, so roughly I'd say the journeys between Aberdeen and Penzance, which is the longest, by the way. This is certainly a disappointing menu, but I think for many shorter journeys, it's reasonable. I think up to 6-hour daytime journeys, but dinner could be a bit better. As for your generic menu overall, you've got some nice hot and cold breakfast and lunch. You've got some cakes and snacks, your crisps, your chocolates, hot drinks, cold drinks, alcoholic drinks, which has the 18 plus alcoholic beverage warning just right at the bottom, tucked away. Unhelpful. But yeah, I think Cross Country is quite a good operator and has a good route network, has got 2 good classes, pretty good trains as well. And yeah, I will quickly use the number generator again to generate the second operator, Greater Anglia, which is going to fall below Cross Country in the A tier. So as you can see with Greater Anglia, you've got a pretty decent and extensive route map. So you've got the Southeastern Express between London and Liverpool Street and Stansted Airport. You've got some suburban trains as well from London Liverpool Street, either via Hackney Downs or Stratford, and Tottenham Hale to Hertford East. Bit interesting. Through Harlow Town, Bishop Stortford, and can head to Bury St Edmunds and back down Ipswich and out that way. You can also head through Ely and up to Norwich. There is also trains from through Stratford, Romford and Shenfield to Southend Victoria, Southminster, Braintree, Colchester Town, Clacton-on-Sea, Walton-on-the-Naze, Harwich Town, Felixstowe, Lowestoft, Norwich, Cambridge and Peterborough. There's also trains such as Sudbury to Colchester and Colchester Town to Clacton-on-Sea and Walton-on-the-Naze. Harwich Town to Ipswich. There's also from Norwich, you have additional trains to Sheringham, Great Yarmouth via Burnley Arms, and Lowestoft as well. So that is pretty much the whole route network described, which is quite good. We head on here, you've got the 3 different types of trains. So you've got your regional Stadler Flirt with generic standard class. You've got 2 toilets. 2 toilets, 1 accessible, 2 wheelchair spaces, and you've got the power pack car in the middle, which makes sure that the train just doesn't have traction motors and stuff in the train itself. With 5-car Avanti units with 2 toilets, 1 accessible with 3 wheelchair spaces, which is pretty good. That's pretty much it. And then you've got the Stadler Flirt, the 12-car trains, which are quite interesting as 12-car by default. So you have, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toilets, 1 of which is accessible with 3 wheelchair spaces. You also have a toilet in first class. Assuming this is first class, the Stansted Express units do not have it as first class. But the trains that do have first class, it's there. The front 2 coaches are first class. The one behind it has a bar as well, which I'll get to the menu for in a moment. And you got the traction in the middle. Standard class, by the way, in the Adventure was 3+2, I think, with tray tables only, airline style seats. Here, for the Standard Express, it's the same ordeal, but 2+2 instead of 3+2. Also, the 2+2 has armrests. And for the city trains, they have 4-width fixed tables at base of 4. The first class, I think, has 4-width fixed tables at every seat, but I can't verify. They definitely have it at bays of 2 and 4. They don't recline, but they do have charging ports. If we head on to first class, you've got some fair details about leg room and complimentary meal service as well, which includes coffee, tea, hot chocolate, water, and snacks as well. Only on the route between London, Liverpool Street, Stratford, Chelmsford, Colchester, Manningtree, Ipswich, Stowmarket, Diss, and Norwich. Now, from the trolley, you can get some soft drinks, some hot drinks, some sandwiches and snacks as well. So I think these are cold sandwiches. You have alcoholic drinks and also some crisps and snacks and chocolates and stuff. From the cap itself, I think you can get a coffee as well, or decaf coffee as well. It looks like you can, if I reopen that closed tab and compare, I think you have quite a few more hot breakfast items. And oh yeah, definitely you got some stuff as well. So from the trolley, it's just cold breakfast and lunch. You can get hot breakfast and lunch from the cafe itself. Yeah, this I think there might be a few more snacks. Maybe, I'm not sure, but yeah, those are the menus done. So that's Greater Anglia done. Pretty good. Especially for the fact I think absolute maximum their journey duration is 3 hours, so definitely not bad. The 8 operator is the one we're going to do next. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 West Midlands Railway, which is going to go into the C tier. Pretty much average. So West Midlands Railway scoring pretty much average is simply because there's no first class or catering offered on any of the services, but their route map is a bit interesting. As you can see here, you've got trains such as Nuneaton to Leamington Spa. And then from Shrewsbury, sorry, I'm going to have to look at this a bit interesting. So you've got Rugeley Trent Valley via Walsall down to Birmingham New Street. We've got Walsall to Birmingham New Street via Aston. Lichfield Trent Valley to Birmingham New Street via Aston. We've got Shrewsbury to Birmingham New Street via Wolverhampton and Smethwick Golden Bridge. You've also got Shrewsbury to Birmingham New Street via Wolverhampton and Tanebridge Parkway. There's Stourbridge Town to Stourbridge Junction. You have Stratford upon Avon to Birmingham through to Worcester Shrub Hill via either Earlswood or Dorridge, connecting up at Tyseley, then via Birmingham Moor Street, Birmingham Snow Hill, Jewellery Quarter, Smethwick Golden Bridge, Stourbridge Junction, and Kidderminster, before carrying on and just heading to Worcester Shrub Hill, and some continue on to Great Malvern via Worcester Foregate Street. There are also trains from Coventry to... I've read this completely... I've read some of this completely wrong. So you've got one route, which I've already described, but I think some of the other routes, so you've got Coventry to Walsall, Coventry via Birmingham International and Rugeley Trent Valley via Walsall. No. Coventry via Birmingham International and Walsall via Aston. heading through to Ridgely Trent Valley via Walsall and Shrewsbury via Smethwick Gorton Bridge, Wolverhampton and Shrewsbury, or up to Shrewsbury, with additional branch between Shrewsbury and Birmingham New Street via Cambridge Parkway and Wolverhampton. So that's that part done. There's also Bromsgrove and Redditch via University and Birmingham New Street up to Lichfield Trent Valley by Aston. I'd also like to mention there is an express route as well. So there's a top line express between Birmingham New Street and Hereford. This runs calling at University and all stops from Barnes Street. Some heading to, no, they don't head to Worcester Shrub Hill, they just continue straight to Worcester Foregate Street and just carry on. And that's pretty much their route network done. Then you've got the Class 172, which features 2+2 metro seats with no tables, quite featureless. The 323 is the same, except for 2+2, you've got 3+2. Very similar to the 465s. The 730s, which I'm not really sure because I can't really see interior images. And the Class 196, which has the most info. You've got your generic standard just throughout. Well, the tray tables are ridiculously small, if I'm being honest. So on each train, you've got one accessible toilet with 2 wheelchair spaces. And on the 4-coach train, you have an additional toilet as well. Now, that is pretty much it for West Midlands Railways. Just quite average operator. And I will generate the next train, or next operator to examine, which will be Hull Trains, which is going to go into the B tier. First, good, just the most average good train operator company you can get. So Hull Trains is just another open access operator operating from London King's Cross. But the main thing is it runs rather simple network from London King's Cross to Hull, with only a few trains. I think some trains, 1 train per day per direction, roughly. So very few trains stop at Stevenage on Sundays and few trains stop at Retford. I think that's mainly to do with Saturdays. And a few trains head up to Beverley. So that's pretty much their route map done. You've also got your Class 802, so you've got your generic standard. And then like the first this half of the coach and this half of the coach are first class. So you've got 2+1 reclining seats with armrests, 4 fixed tables every seat, got charging ports, that sort of thing. You've also got 5 onboard toilets, 2 bicycle spaces. 2 of the toilets are accessible, and you have 2 wheelchair spaces, one in first, one in standard. There's not really much else that I haven't spoken about with first class, other than like your catering, but yeah, simple stuff to be honest. Yeah, you got your standard class menu as well, which is quite new actually. It's been introduced quite recently, relatively speaking. It didn't have it for the longest time, but they finally do. So you have hot drinks, cold drinks, alcohol as well, which doesn't actually say 18 plus only, interestingly enough. You also got just crisps and snack boxes as well, which is quite fun. That's extremely new. You got chocolates and crisps and other snacks too. You have meal deals, so like drinks and snacks, got snack boxes and alcohol as well. And it's just some of the many snack boxes that they have, which I think pretty good. You have complimentary first class as well, which for breakfast, I think one of the hot breakfast options. And also they're setting off fireworks outside, by the way, which is crazy. Breakfast drinks as well, which hot drinks, cold drinks. Look at the rest of the day menu, by the way. You've got, I think it's mainly cold food, and then you have like hot and cold drinks and alcohol as well. That's pretty much all for our trains. So with that, I'll just pick another random number, the 8th one. So Chiltern Railways, which is going to go into yes here. So Chiltern Railways has a pretty good reliability record, but unfortunately they don't have first class or catering on any of their trains. And there seems to be no seat maps for them available online either, which doesn't really help with this video. I think from my understanding, from the trains they have, the 165s have 3+2 seats with no tables. With the 168s, the Mark 3 coaches having just generic standard class. I think there's 2 toilets per. I'm not really sure about the number of toilets on different trains specifically, but there are some locomotive haul trains using Mark 3 coaches as well, between 5 and 6, which, whilst it doesn't have first class, it's called Business Zone, which has 2+1 reclining seats with armrests and forward fixed tables as well, which is quite good. So Chiltern Railways has some middle suburban trains from London Marylebone to Aylesbury Vale Parkway via Harrow on the Hill, Amersham and Aylesbury. They also have trains between Princess Risborough and Aylesbury. Not really sure how you pronounce that. But some peak time trains I think extend fully to London Marylebone via High Wycombe, Beaconsfield, Beaconsfield, not sure, and Gerrards Cross. You also have the I think outer suburban route to Oxford, which starts at London Marylebone via Gerrards Cross, Beaconsfield, High Wycombe, Princess Risborough, Hanham and Fane Parkway, Bicester Village, and Oxford. Yeah. And then in addition to that, you have the route between Leamington Spa and Stratford upon Avon via Warwick, Hatton, and Stratford upon Avon Parkway. I think it's some peak time trains heading all the way down to London Marylebone via Banbury, Hanham and Fane Parkway, Princess Risborough, High Wycombe, Beaconsfield, and Gerrards Cross. There is also trains between, I think it's London Marylebone and Banbury, so semi-fast via Gerrards Cross, Beaconsfield, High Wycombe, Princess Risborough, Hanham and Fane Parkway, Bicester North, up to Banbury, with an orange route heading from Leamington Spa up to Warwick, Hatton, Lapworth, Dorridge, Solihull, and Birmingham Moor Street. And finally, you have the light blue route, which I think is the flagship route. This starts at London Marylebone, with some but not all trains calling at the following stations, which includes High Wycombe, Bicester North, Banbury, Leamington Spa, Warwick, Warwick Parkway, Dorridge, Solihull, Birmingham Moor Street, and Birmingham Snow Hill, with 3 daily trains, 2 and 1 daily train from, I think, heading to Smethwick, Galton Bridge, Rowley Regis, Bradley Heath, and Stourbridge Junction. That is pretty much all. Chiltern, pretty reasonable operator. Generate the next operator. Just going to be the 4th one, so Caledonian Sleeper, which is going to head into the bottom of S tier. So Caledonian Sleeper is a bit unique in regard it's only a sleeper train which heads from London Euston to Glasgow Central and Edinburgh Waverley, or a slightly earlier train which heads to Fort William, Inverness, and Aberdeen. So a train that splits into 3 portions. Now, there's a few things that we can look at. I think it's the seated coach catering menu. So you've got some very small number of starters. We've got some main breakfast. I think it's breakfast courses. No, they look like dinner actually. And then you've got like desserts, which are rather interesting. You've got like some snacks. Well, 2 types of snacks, I guess. Alcohol. cold drinks, hot drinks, that sort of thing. You have the two types of accessible room, which include the double room, which is, I think it's got a double bed with the universally accessible toilet right next to it. Which you can, well, you can pause if you want to read any of these finer details. It's yeah, got some pretty decent stuff as well. I think this is actually quite good, Caledonian Sleeper, with the amount of information they have as well. So this is double room. I think it's the room that has access to the club car via the accessible gangway. The accessible classic room doesn't have it, and this is the accessible. Well, it says classic or the accessible twin room. If I'm being honest. Yeah. Then your classic rooms, which I think have interconnecting doors, double bunks, some other light stuff, which you can pause a video for, and also have, well, no toilets. Oh yes, here we go, interconnecting room option, which is nice. Quite good. It is classified as standard class, interestingly, but yes. If you've got your, that's what a double room would look like, which is quite nice, quite cool. Then pause the video if you want to look at the fine details. Now, this club room is basically the same as a classic, except you have a toilet or bathroom with a shower and a toilet. Again, all rooms have a sink, except for the accessible rooms, which have it in the universally accessible toilet directly next door. Now, club room, this is considered to be a form of first class. Unfortunately, there's no interconnecting room option because of the need of the space for the toilet. Which is, yeah, really quite good. I do quite like this. I think, yeah, although I probably wouldn't make use of something like this in practice because I don't feel comfortable with the concept of a vacuum toilet, especially not in my own room. I would say, don't really like the idea of that. As it does say here, got station lounge access, priority boarding, and club car access. And then your double room is a bit interesting because it's again a step up. So particularly from the classic room, instead of a twin or bunk bed, you have a double bed. You also have a a dedicated ensuite bathroom. There's only a few of these in each in each train. I say no more than 5 per part of the train, because there are 3 different parts. You have some again pause for finer details. By the way, these rooms are the ones that sell out the quickest, simply because of just how divine they are, particularly if you're traveling with a partner. They are truly the upper echelon of opulence. No, there's also things about guest lounges as well, which is, I think, the no long security queues is jab air travel. Your lounges, there's quite a few of them, to be honest, which isn't. Yeah, it's only Caledonian double and club rooms, except for these 3 places for some reason. And then you've got shared lounges, which are quite fun. It's fair enough. Yeah. And then you've got your catering. I think this is just the complete menu. So you've got your breakfast, with room service offered as well. So you've got your club car menu, which I think I might have already went over. I have your breakfast menu, which is quite interesting. Some like other stuff being purchasable as well. Yeah, some other items as well. Got your seated menu as well, I think. No, this is the one I already went over, but they're roughly the same. You've got your room service. Quite limited, but not too bad. I'm looking at the prices, they're pretty decent. You've got like your alcohol and stuff. You can just visit the website for, if I'm being honest. Club car menu. I think these are generally just more of the same, really. So you got your. Oh, this is a guest lounge menu, so I'm just going to look through some of this. It's not bad, not bad. And then, yeah, you got your club car. Have I clicked on that? Here we go, yes. So you've got your seated passengers don't have access to this, unfortunately, but all your sleeper coach residents, not residents, guests do have access to it, which is quite interesting, quite fun as well. You can see your individual seats, you've got your booth style seats as well. Looks quite nice as well. So overall, Caledonian Sleeper is quite a good operation, a bit niche as well, but certainly not bad. That's why it scores quite highly. The fifth operator, TransPennine Express, is going to score into a high S tier. So TransPennine Express is probably one of the better operators, operates services in the north of England. Express services, pretty much the express counterpart to well, Northern, I guess. Almost only operating express services, but I think looking at this map, there might be a few exceptions to that rule. So you've got the Anglo-Scottish, the North and the South route services. So the South route services travel between Liverpool Lime Street and either Cleethorpes or Manchester Airport via Manchester Piccadilly and Manchester Oxford Road. You have the North route services from Liverpool Lime Street and Manchester Airport. The Manchester Airport only via Manchester Piccadilly and Manchester Oxford Road. Through Manchester Victoria, you also have some other Manchester Piccadilly services which join up together at Stalybridge via Huddersfield, Dewsbury, Leeds, and heads off to either Hull, Scarborough, Saltburn, or Edinburgh. And then you've got your Anglo-Scottish services, which are probably the longest ones, from Liverpool Lime Street and Wigan NorthWestern. Liverpool Lime Street and Wigan NorthWestern, and Manchester Airport, Manchester Piccadilly, and Manchester Oxford Road, up to Glasgow Central and Edinburgh via Carlisle. So, yeah, a simpler route map than I thought TP would be. You've got 3 different classes of trains. So you've got the 185 with generic standard, 2 toilets, 1 accessible, uniquely right next to the driver's cab with 2 wheelchair spaces. Got 2+1 reclining leather first class seats with get tray tables at the 3 airline style seats. All the others are part of bays of 2 and 4 and have 4 fixed tables. One of the very, very best trains, by the way. The Nova one is a little bit worse than the others. You've got your first class 2+1 reclining seats with armrests, charging ports, and 4 fixed tables at every seat, and then you've got your generic standard for the other parts of the train. Again, 2 accessible toilets with 2 wheelchair spaces, and you have 5 toilets, 2 accessible. And the Nova 2, which is one of the better trains as well. You've got 4 coaches of just generic standard, and then your first class, which is probably the best. 2+1 reclining mixed leather and fabric upholstered seats with charging ports, integrated reading lights, and full fixed tables at every seat. Truly the best. Yeah, you have your, I think it's 4 toilets in this train, one of which is accessible, and your 2 wheelchair spaces. So overall, the trains are really good. As you can see here, you've got other details in first class. This is actually showing off the best first class, I think, in the Nova 2, if I remember correctly. Also the leather headrest as well, which is really cool. Yeah, another reason why I really love the Nova 2. And then you got your different catering menus. So in standard class, this is pretty much just, I think you have a mix of hot and cold breakfast and lunch, which is quite good. You've got your deals here. You have some hot drinks, cold drinks, and alcohol as well. Doesn't say anything about 18 plus, unfortunately. You've got your express first class menu on most routes. So you've got some, I think it's hot and cold. No, it's just hot and cold breakfast. You have some, I think they're hot drinks and cold drinks. And then after that, I think they offer some alcoholic drinks. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But the flagship menu on the west coast, which has full hot and cold breakfast, I think there's, oh nice, I think there's some hot and cold lunches and dinners as well, which is really good. You have some snacks, hot soft drinks, and then I think it looks like it might be alcohol. Yeah, that's the route, the Anglo-Scottish route that they operate on. And that is pretty much it. So TransPennine Express, really good operator. Better than last time I checked, I think. And the next operator, Grand Central, is going to score I think it would be a low A tier. So Grand Central is another simple open access operation from London King's Cross to Bradford Interchange or Sunderland. Yeah, I think it's really simple route network. Not much else to say. Move straight onto the seating plan. So I'm only going to cover the Class 180 and not the 221 because that's a bit ambiguous, that one, and also it's semi-temporary. But the Class 180 is fully permanent. The 3 coaches at the back and 1 at the front features just generic standard, with the front coach having an accessible toilet with 2 wheelchair spaces. And there's just 1 toilet per coach. There's also 1 accessible or 1 wheelchair space in the first class coach, closest to the gangway to the accessible toilet. And there is just a standard toilet at the other end of the first class coach. And there's generic standard throughout, but there's also a first class section which features 2+1 reclining leather seats with armrests, tray tables at airline style seats, and 4 fixed tables at your bays of 2 and 4 as well. Now move on to the first class catering, which is a bit limited. You have coffee, teas, and some other light snacks as well. And also you have some, in standard class, you've got hot drinks, cold drinks, snacks, some chocolate, you've got a very small selection of hot food, you've got some light breakfast item and some alcohol as well. So Grand Central is a rather simple operation. Flipping to the random number generator, which went to 1 again, rather interesting. Heathrow Express, and that is going to score into the higher end of D tier. So Heathrow Express is full slightly below the average city tier, and there's a few reasons for that. Now, as a airport express, I would like to say is a bit expensive, but there's a reason why it's not a fair bit lower, and that reason is simply because it's the best way to get to Heathrow Airport. The Piccadilly line is ridiculous with its 1970s tube stock, and also the Elizabeth line, which is just way too uncomfortable and way too stripped back of an operation for the incredibly long journeys it operates up to Shenfield in many cases. So as a result, Heathrow Express, as the only half decent option, does score itself here. Now in standard class, you've got 2+2. I think it would probably be mainline seats with tray tables, airline style seats, and no tables in bays, but you do have armrests. And in first class, which is labelled business first class, you have 2+1 leather reclining seats with armrests, forward fixed tables at bays, and tray tables at airline style seats. So yes, I would like to say an even more stripped back operation, and the only 3 stations it serves, of which all trains stop at all of them, are Heathrow Terminal 5, Heathrow Terminals 2 and 3, and London Paddington in that order. So very, very, very simple. No catering, unfortunately. I'll spin the random number generator this time. Number 4, Gatwick Express, which is going to go into the queue tier straight away, like no shadow of a doubt. Now, immediately, you may realise I've not cut to some other scene simply because there's just literally nothing to talk about with Gatwick Express. So it's a stretch to call it an express in the first place, with the main reason why I'm even saying that in the first place is because, and I'm not going to mention Thameslink here because that's just that's actually more uncomfortable, but Express Southern services heading to regions such as Eastbourne or Littlehampton, Portsmouth Harbour and Bognor Regis only call at Clapham Junction and East Croydon on their way from Victoria to Gatwick Airport anyway. I'm not 100% sure if there's a real demand from Brighton for trains to Gatwick Airport, especially because they stop at Hayward Heath as well. There is literally no point of its existence when the alternative only stops at 2 stations. Also, Gatwick Express uses 2+2 ironing board seats with tray tables, airline style seats, and forward fixed tables at bays of 4, which admittedly is more comfortable than Heathrow Express, but it is far, far less comfortable than Southern, with many trains having 2+2, with just 2+2 generic standard, which is a lot more comfortable itself. Not really a big deal anyway to use those trains. And also with Southern, your Oyster card is valid, I think. Oyster's valid. With Gatwick Express is not. Also, first class is the exact same as standard class, which is not good, especially because standard class is quite bad, in my opinion. Using ironing boards for a top line express, I do not really like the idea of that. And partly because of that reason, it falls so low. So we're going to roll the random number generator. Number 1, Scotrail, which is one of the best operators. I think it's going to go into a quite high S++ tier. One of the best operators in all of the UK. So Scotrail, as the complete national operator of trains in Scotland, has an incredibly diverse route network. So some of this includes trains such as Edinburgh Waverley to Tweedbank. Yeah, as well as I think it's a lot to get through. So you've got Helensburgh Central, Balloch, and Milngavie. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Through Patrick, up to Springburn, Cumbernauld. No, not Cumbernauld. To Springburn, Edinburgh Waverley, and Lanark Hall, Cumbernauld via the Chiltern. Yeah, some interesting place names. And you've got Carstairs, Lanark. Um, and some trains start at Glasgow Central as well. Some pass through it. Some don't stop there at all. Some head through Glasgow Queen Street instead, which is another terminus. You've got that as well. I think that's roughly for just the pink line alone. As for the blue line, it's Glasgow Central to Weymouth Bay and Gourock. And then you've got Glasgow Central to Ayr, Ardson Harbour and Largs. Glasgow Central to Paisley Canal. And then Cyan, you got Glasgow Central to East Kilbride. Glasgow Central, I think to Neilston and Newton as well, and also some loop trains as well. Yeah, that's roughly. Oh yeah, you also got Glasgow Central to Edinburgh Waverley via Harleytown and Addywell. With that, I'll swiftly move on to some other trains terminating at Glasgow Queen Street, which includes those to Anniesland, and also some other top line expresses to Edinburgh Waverley. And that's roughly about it for the central exclusives. Make sure to look over and fact check myself to make sure I'm not wrong. Yeah, with that, you've got additional trains to out from Edinburgh Waverley to North Berwick and, well, Dunbar. Heading back to that grey one, it's Glasgow Central to North Berwick and Dunbar via, well, Childmire. The Cyan line as well, which quite helpfully, Glasgow Central to Stranraer, Dumfries and Carlisle. Looking at this national map, we also have Glasgow Central via Dumbarton Central up to Oban and Mallaig, as well Fort William as well. You also have trains heading from Glasgow Queen Street and Edinburgh Waverley up to, I think it's Perth, Inverness, Dundee and Aberdeen, with the yellow line also featuring trains from Tweedbank, which both of those head up to Stirling and Dunblane. So the pink line that starts at Edinburgh Waverley, or both the pink and the purple line start at Edinburgh Waverley, with additional purple line trains heading up to Dundee and Aberdeen. The pink line having some interesting loops through, say, Dunfermline City and Leven as well, up to Dundee. And in the far north region, from Inverness, you've also got link trains to Aberdeen. You have trains to Cardiff Lockhouse, and you've got the far north line to Wick and Thurso. That's their whole route network done. You also have some. So the onboard trolley service consists of just sweet and savoury snacks, sandwiches, deals, hot drinks, cold drinks. Not really much, to be honest. But as a generally regional operator, doesn't really matter. Now, the class 385, so you've got the standard class, which features a range of 3-2, 2-2 and stuff. There's 3 trains with particularly notable first class. Quick note of mention, you've got some lounges as well. Oh yeah, only at Aberdeen, by the way. But with that, the 3 trains I'm about to mention do all have generic standard class as well. But on the 385, you've got 2+1 reclining mixed upholstered leather and fabric seats with armrests, tray tables at your airline style seats, and forward fixed tables at bays of 2 and 4. On the class 170s, you have, well, quite nice trains as well, I'd like to say. You've got 2+1 reclining seats with table lamps, curtains, think they will probably have tray tables at your airline style seats and forward fixed tables at bays of 2 and 4. And your HSTs have got generally more of the same, except you have forward fixed tables at every seat and leather reclining seats as well, which is quite good. These are really nice trains, probably the best trains operating on the network, and partially because of that, Scotrail is so highly ranking. And with that, we're going to generate. Yeah, I'll do London Northwestern Railway first. That will go into a low B tier. So West Midlands Railway is, well, not West Midlands Railway. London Northwestern Railway is probably the easier of the two last ones to get over with. So I think plenty of trains have got variations in seating plans, such as I think there's generally for trains not on the main line, it's a 3-2 layout in standard. And for the main line, you've got 2 different configurations, one of which features 2 seats throughout with just generic standard, although that same layout is applied in the first class section. As for the there's another layout which is the more metro style, which features 3-2 seats in standard class, and in the first class section they do feature your more generic first class feature. Now, as for the routes they run, London Northwestern Railway are fairly simple, fairly straightforward, operating some reasonably simple routes between Bletchley and Bedford and Watford Junction and St Albans Abbey. With the main top line expresses running from London Euston via Watford Junction, Bletchley and Milton Keynes Central, separating at Wolverton, heading to either, I think it's the split off at Northampton, and head to either looks appear to be Crewe via Coventry, Rugby, Tile Hill, Stetchford, Birmingham New Street, Sandwell and Dudley, Wolverhampton, Stafford, Stoke-on-Trent, and terminating Crewe, or they carry on to Liverpool Lime Street, quite far, via Nuneaton, Lichfield Trent Valley, Rugeley Trent Valley, Stafford, Crewe, and Liverpool South Parkway. So that is roughly it. Now we have to use a random number generator between 1 and 1. As you can see, the last operator is Southeastern. Last but certainly not least, my local operator, which is going to go into high S plus tier. Now, as someone myself who lives on the Southeastern network, I'm pretty much very, very familiar with this myself. And I know there are no seat maps or any other conversations about first class, although it does exist some capacity. I know it's there, but I know the say seat maps and stuff that isn't there, and there is no catering on Southeastern, but it's still a really good operator, mainly because of its high connectivity, mostly, and also incredibly comfortable trains. Now, I think I may have overranked Southeastern a little bit, looking back at the tier list overall. Might want to look back at that, might make some slight changes, but these are the reasons why I've even put it so high. So I can kind of divide it into a few different categories, including inner suburban, middle suburban, outer suburban, mainline, regional, and just mainline. There's no intercity Southeastern services, although high speed one is the same thing. So first things first, you've got your inner suburban trains, which include your Grove Park to Bromley North branch, and also include duties such as London Cannon Street to look at it right, London Cannon Street to Orpington, yes, and also London Victoria to Orpington as well. That's another important route, which I shall not forget. Talking about more middle suburban routes now, you have got journeys such as London Cannon Street to Dartford via Blackheath and Woolwich Arsenal. You also have London Cannon Street to London Cannon Street via Westcombe Park, Woolwich Arsenal, Bexley Heath, Blackheath, and back up to Cannon Street. And also peak times only, you've got London Cannon Street to London Cannon Street via Lee and Westcombe Park, quite simply, heading along this limited station route. So, yeah, there's a few other trains as well, such as your London Victoria to Gravesend via Bexley Heath and Lewisham. There is also your London Charing Cross to Dartford via Bexley Heath, and also London Charing Cross to Gravesend and Dartford via Sidcup and Lee as well, Lee being another important station on the line. And with that, there is a slight limit in service between Gravesend and Strood, because I think there's a few daily trains. So one daily train all stops between Gillingham and London Cannon Street via Chiltern, Blackheath, and well, that's pretty much it, to be honest. And then there's another train that starts at Gravesend as well on the same stopping pattern. And then there's a daily return service between Gillingham and London Charing Cross, and also Strood as well, with neither of these trains stopping at any station between London Bridge and New Eltham exclusive. But they also seem to skip some stations, I think, along the lines of Stone Crossing, Swanscombe, and Northfleet as well, if they even decide to omit them, which I doubt they do, although I know the Strood service certainly omits those. And during times of severe disruption, they sometimes decide to skip Greenhive, Bexley, Albany Park, and New Eltham as well, as seen in hopefully my latest train spotting video, which should have gone up by now. Onto that, there are also some. Oh yeah, also not to forget the London Charing Cross to Sevenoaks service as well. That's quite important. Onto the outer suburban, you've got your London Victoria to Gillingham service, as well as I think London Charing Cross to Tunbridge Wells. That's another outer suburban service. We also have the intercity lights of St Pancras International to Maidstone West, Ramsgate via Faversham, Ramsgate via Canterbury West, and also Ramsgate via Folkestone West is another one. That's pretty much all of the high-speed services. There's only a few regional services, including I think it's Gillingham to Sheerness-on-Sea, which is a daily train. There's also Sheerness-on-Sea to Sittingbourne. There's Strood to Paddock Wood, with some daily trains extended to Tunbridge. And that is roughly it, to be honest, for the regional trains. The rest of which are just intercity trains, or rather mainline trains, with the departures from London Victoria heading to Ramsgate, Dover Priory, and Ashford International. The former two via Faversham, with them heading via Herne Bay, Broadstairs, and also Canterbury East, respectively, with the Ashford International trains heading via Maidstone East. There are also London Charing Cross mainline trains, including those to Hastings, as well as a daily train from Orr to London Charing Cross, but not in the return direction. So mainly London Charing Cross to Hastings via Highbrooms and Woodhurst, London Charing Cross to Dover Priory via Western Hangar, London Charing Cross to Ramsgate via Canterbury West and Tunbridge. And also there's a few trains per day, London Charing Cross to Ramsgate via Ham Sandwich and Deal. Nice. And that is pretty much it. Just like to say, Southeastern's got quite the range of trains, with just 22 Metro on their 376 and 707, with the 376 notoriously being one of the worst trains on the railway network. There are also 465s hanging around with 3-2 layouts, except for 465/9, which still in some capacity have a first class at each end, with 2-2 seats with tray tables at airline style seats and fixed tables with a seat at bays of 4. The Class 375/9 has the same, except they've got tray tables at airline style seats and fixed tables width of a seat at bays of 4 and 6 in the standard class as well. And then you've got generic standard class for the rest of the fleet, with various sectors of first class in some capacity along the 375 fleet, and also the 395 has just got generic standard throughout. This is fine. I know this has been an incredibly long video. Wow, I'm so sorry I've waffled on for such a long time. And if I went into the fine details of every single train longer than it already is, complete and extensive. So I would just like to say thank you so much for watching this absolutely momentous video. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, share, comment, all the good stuff. And if I know I've made a few controversial opinions as well, so if you disagree, feel free to leave a dislike as well. So yeah, as always, take care. Bye for now.